Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ireland Live for Wednesday, the 28th of January 2026. The month is nearly gone. My name is Paul Fitzsimons. I'll be joined here now shortly. She's actually down below there by Orla Donoghue. And later on in the show, we're going to be speaking to Mary Kate's mother, Mary Jane, who we showed the video here a couple of weeks. Last week, I think it was, on the show. I'll actually bring Orla up there. Hang on. And good evening, Orla. How are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. So we're going to have Mary Jane on, who is Mary Kate's mum. And
Yes.
we spoke about Mary. We played the video about Mary Kate last week on, it was either this show or the Irish column about, do you remember? And
Yes.
we got a great response. I don't know how the GoFundMe went, but I hope, listen, we want to hear her story tonight. So please, everyone, if you can't know anyone, tell them to tune in because it should be good. So how are you since Sunday?
Yeah, grand. Busy. Running around.
I've seen a few things. Yeah, I seen you were running around sunbed places and the whole lot, and
the interviews on that. So for today,
I know, but like looking at these interviews and all that, it's like the Irish are not getting a look in at all. It's like as though they're failing. They want them to fail, like, you know what I mean. This is what it looks like, you know what I mean, and it's not nice. You know,
it's really dictation. Nice. Like you'll hear, you know, that woman speaking, and it's like they're dictating what we can and cannot do. You know. And look, all the business I'm talking to, it doesn't matter the type of business, they're all saying the same thing. You know, between the rents, the rates, the wages, the VAT especially, they're just being crippled, like absolutely crippled. Like, and I there's a massive avalanche coming. I don't think people realise how bad things are, what's coming for Irish businesses, especially small ones.
Yeah,
we're going to see huge unemployment as well.
But let's be honest about it, Orla. This is the tip of the iceberg. Like, you're just in Carlow. Like if people like you could get out and do the same sort of thing in their counties, we'd see an awful lot of people. Like, it's not just Carlow, as I said. It's the whole country is falling asunder. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm not just doing businesses in Carlow. I'm doing businesses in Kilkenny, Laois as well. You know, and they're all saying the same thing.
Because they can't compete.
No.
Like the housing market, you know what I mean? Like, nobody can compete in the housing market now either, you know what I mean? It's gone really ridiculous, like, you know? Let's just have a look at some comments there. Sorry, lads. Good evening. Hello there. Please, everyone, hit the big X on the top right-hand corner of your screen, and you can see and hit the like button respectfully. Then hit live chat. You won't miss a word. Much appreciated. Cheers for that, Richard. Thank you very much. How are you, Vincent? How's things? All good. Good evening from Manchester. Hello there. Hello, Drew Cook. How are you, mate? We're all doing well. Michael John, wonderful. If the gorgeous wonder if the gorgeous Anthony will be on. Well, I'm gonna be honest. Click your heels 3 times, and you know you'll never know. You'll never know. The good fairy might come along. Good evening, Anthony Paul. Good evening, Michael John. Good evening. Hi, how you, Sarah? How's things? End of January already. It's like it's in warp speed now. It is. It's wow. It's flying. Good evening, classy lady. Orla. Good evening. Calm down, Michael John. Yeah, calm down. Leave him. How are you, John? How's things? How's everyone? How are you doing? How are you, Chris?
Yeah,
how's things? Rayo, how's things, brother? How are you, buddy? Good to see you there. Hi, Chris. Hi, Michael John. It's much worse in Ireland compared to the UK. Listen, not from what I'm seeing, Michael John. You are in an awful state over there, but we're bad at the minute. We are really bad at the minute. Share this out there. Yeah, please, people, share it out. I'm going to share this now. No family to look out for your care system is hell. Yeah, it is. It is. And if you see what the Burkes are doing, the Burkes were in the hospital there a couple of weeks ago, Christmas. You remember that? The neighbour, they reckon the neighbour was taken and it was a land grab. That's what they think it is. So, listen, we'd have to look into stuff like that. Good evening, all. people were flying there. I'm just going to put this up here now. You can watch us live. There you go. You watch us live on X at Fitzy Dub, at Anthony L. Casey, at Ruggermorph27. You'll get us on. It's not the Deal of Hair on YouTube anymore. It is the Gale Force Media YouTube. And you'll get us at Gale Force Media. And you'll get us there at Gale Force Media. And on Facebook, Paul Fitzsimons. So that's where you'll get us, people, if you can. And you can send us in a text or a WhatsApp, or you can email us. But you can text us there, 089 203 1521. Thank you very much. Derek Domino did a great video earlier regarding the deal between the EU and India. Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah, it's disgusting. It is. It really is. I seen von der Leyen talking about it yesterday.
Von der Leyen.
Hello, von der Leyen. Yeah. I have the video there somewhere, but I'll play it later.
I always say she reminds me of a Disney villain, the nefarious Disney villain, a Cruella de Vil or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And another selected, unelected person.
Sure, that's how it goes, Orla. That's what happens, like, you know what I mean? But I just want to play a Shin and Adina video there just for a second, because we're looking for people to come in and give us a dig out. So
you can meet me head on at the Devil's Gate, but I won't bow down. I'll hold this line.
That's it there. We're looking for experts to come into the different groups and to help out in the groups. That's what we need. Law, education. We have teachers in there. We have people in there already. And we have nurses, ex-nurses in there. So we need to get people back in. We need to get more people in here to help us out with these groups. And that's what we need to get done. You know what I mean? Let me just check here. Hey all. Hello there. Loving the hair, by the way, Orla. Oh, Chris noticed as well. Oh,
don't worry. This is only for one day. That's all I'll get out of it. The plaque will be back tomorrow.
India, the next China, before long. CCP will act. Yes. Irexit. We've been calling for this since I went. I'm a big advocate of Irexit. I want out of the EU. That's it. I know we're not going to get out tomorrow or next week or next year. But we need to sit down now and renegotiate what they're getting from us, because they're taking everything we have here, and it needs to be
and constantly dictating to us.
Yeah. Scroll up. What am I scrolling up for? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Michael John Dennis. Seems the US military is secretly in control and is about to remove the Irish government from power. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, to be honest with you. But Trump is... Like, you have to look at this peace thing that they're putting together. Like, why would you have the top man of the World Bank in there? You know what I mean? This is all the billionaires and all the people with money getting together who have influence, and it'll be a one world government in the next 10 years, next 5 years. That's how this is going to roll. If this peace thing, if this, what's it called? Whatever a piece that Trump is at the putting together, he's the CEO, he's the top man, and he can nominate who comes in after him as the top man. He can sack people for, come on, it's just like one big club, like, you know what I mean? So, no, I'm not buying into it at all. Yeah. She reminds me of Ursula in The Little Mermaid laughing at us, poor unfortunate souls, Orla.
You're right, Sarah, 100%.
Orla Cruella de Vil is one of my drag queen names. I think Orla's hair is lovely. Jesus, Orla, I must do my own bleeding hair one of the nights. Yeah.
Well, I've loads off of Paul, like, do you know what I mean?
Hi all. Wexford got it bad in the storm with Meg. Yeah, I know it did. I've seen videos. I have actually videos there that I'll play. I have none from Wexford, I don't think. How are you, Galloway? Yeah, how are you? Starmer's made a show of himself in the CCP. Starmer has lost the plot. He really has. All I want to talk about this triple lock. Okay, I'm going to play this video from this girl, and we'll just come back and talk this, because your husband was an ex-soldier, wasn't he? Or is? Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Is an ex-soldier.
No, it was. He's retired.
Was it? Yeah. Okay, we play this.
In just a few days, the Irish government is set to end Ireland's policy of military neutrality as it scraps the triple lock, the core of Irish neutrality, which dictates how, where, and how many Irish troops are deployed overseas. Up until now, the UN mandate has protected Irish neutrality, making it so that only a UN mandate will dictate where the troops go. Because the removal of the triple lock means that the Irish government and the Irish cabinet alone gets to decide where troops are sent and to whatever war they like. Of course, it signals the end of Irish neutrality as we know it, which is why critics are saying that and political commentators are saying that. The most regrettable part of the public debate has been that the government has been able, with a lot of ease, to get away with quite a lot of lying. The chief one is that the motivation for getting rid of the triple lock is because of a veto in the Security Council from the likes of Russia and China. They say no new peacekeeping mission has been agreed upon in the UN since 2014. And they blame Russia and China for that. And let's just fact check that for a second. The reason is because no such proposals have even been tabled since 2014. So the Irish public has had any outrage stifled by a campaign that has deliberately muddied the truth and made it seem as though Ireland has been trying to dispatch peacekeepers but has been stopped by warmongers. They haven't. If anything, Ireland has actually been withdrawing UN peacekeepers so that they could free them up to join EU battle groups. There has been no appetite for a new UN peacekeeping mission since 2014. So can we just lay to rest the lie that the motivation for doing this is because of veto power in the UN Security Council? The real question we should all be asking is, where does the Irish government want to send Irish soldiers that they can't without the triple lock? With the triple lock, where do they want to send them to? What is the motivation? Nobody's talking about this. This is a question posed by Louth Neutrality Network and Mothers for Neutrality, two amazing groups. What do you think? And please, if you don't fully understand the difference between military spending and the triple lock, don't leave a comment about how we need to be able to buy equipment to defend ourselves. Spending is totally separate to the rules dictating how troops are deployed and to which wars. Without the triple lock, Ireland could join any illegal war, just at the behest of the cabinet.
Wow. So that's it. Like, I think this, somebody put in the thing, could this be the sword they die on? I think this will be. You know what I mean? The people have to, this has to be a referendum. There has to be a referendum on this.
There has to be a referendum on this, because at the end of the day, there's a massive difference between what our Irish troops do at the moment, which is peacekeeping, not peace enforcing, right?
Yeah.
Second of all, this is not like, people think, oh, it's only the army soldiers. It will not be just the army soldiers. They will extend this out. Are we going to be looking at conscription in a few years' time? And it will not be just our sons, it'll be our daughters as well. Do you know? Because there's money in war. Are they going to be sent over to Ukraine? Are they going to be sent over to Russia? Like, do people realise what is coming? Like, our sons, my son is 24 years old. Like, how in God's creation is he going to fight in a war? Like, they're going to be slaughtered. And do you think, like, we'll say, Micheál Martin or Simon Harris's kids or anybody else's kids in the government are going to be going? No, they won't. I played a video on my Facebook page over von der Leyen, and she was laughing. Oh no, my children won't be going to war, but it's okay to send our children to be slaughtered at a war that has nothing got to do with us. Well, do you know what? No, that won't be happening.
Yeah. I don't want my kids are at 13, 11 and 9, and they'll be ripe for it. You know what I mean? Like Harry will be...
Yeah, in 5 years' time, they'll be 18. You're, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it won't matter because of all this neutral crap. It's not going to matter because it'll be boys and girls. And I guarantee it, down the line, they will bring in conscription. And that will go from, what was it? From age 18 into, the early 40s. Like, we have been warning about this, that this was coming.
Yes, we have been. Anne Horgan, well said, Orla. Somebody just...
I've said this all along. I've always said it. There will be one group of people that can stop all this. And I've always said it, wants to get their act together, and that is the mothers. Because when they realise the danger that their children is going to be in, you know, and you don't go up against a mother when it comes to a child.
4-0 now, sorry. I think it's 4-0 now. Just saying that there. He put up Liverpool at 3 up, Paolo. I think it's 4-0 now. I heard me dash out. But yeah, no, I think this is the one that will cause a referendum, and this is the one where this government will flop on this. I mean,
well, my son is going to no war, and neither is my daughter.
Well, neither are mine. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know, like I did say, I'm a big advocate of put them in the army for a year or two to get them, you know, when if they're not working, get to 18, 19, 20, turn them into, you know, show them how to fight, how to do what they have to do to get on in life, and then come back out of it again. Like I fully agree with that. Like,
there's a lot of benefits to joining the army. Of course there is. But again, the Irish army is peacekeeping. It is not peace enforcing. Like when you go into the army now, you can be trained as anything. You can be trained as a plumber, an electrician, a mechanic. They also go into medical care, a chef, whatever. Like there's any amount of training in the army, you know. So there is benefits to it. But again, as I emphasise, they are peacekeeping.
Yeah, the conscription would be terrible if it was for to defend the neutral Ireland.
But like these ones in Europe can call a war at any stage, and they'll be just drafted in. And if you think conscription is not common, that's exactly what they have in their heads, because there is money in war.
Yeah, and there's plenty of kids around here now. There's plenty of 25 or 18 to 40-year-olds there that'll join an army and be conscripted. So
yeah.
I've trained with tick feckers. Imagine training with tick feckers talking 10 different languages. EU army is absolute. Oh yeah, well that's what's coming, lads. You know what I mean? That's why these are all being shipped in here.
Look at the videos we saw in Ukraine where they were pulling young men off the streets. Like, remember they sent over that young man that had Down syndrome to fight in a war.
Yeah.
Like, what sort of absolute lunatics is running this world? Do you think that's okay? And then the other fell out with a begging bowl at every corner, where he's lost his €1 billion.
Yeah, and Jerome Reedy is right there. They can't conscript if you're anti-government. That's true. Yeah, that's true. If you're far right, if your class is far right, they can't conscript.
Yeah, but like you get up and you start saying no. It's as simple as that. I've always said it. Yeah. We don't need everybody. We just need a good majority to say no.
When you're only cannon fodder for the meat grinder. That's all the are. That's all that she's seen them. We've been showing the videos for months about the kids being pulled off the street in Ukraine and everything like it. So, you know, we need military government in power. Well, if you're looking for our military, be Jesus, you roll out the rainbow flags because they're gone as woke as shit. Like, yeah. You know, I know guys have left the military because of it. Because
I know it's completely different, but it's the same as the guards.
But you have to do a course now on diversity and how to talk to a gay person. And like one of my mates said, I'm a soldier. I'm here to kill people. I'm here to fight for my country. I'm not here to make someone else happy because I hurt their feelings. I'm a soldier, he says, and which is right. That's what they are. It's disgusting what they're making them do. And it's all just because lads are in a job. And now, in saying that, some of the lads took the 30 pieces of silver as well when they start working for that scumbag out in the IPAS centres. You know what I mean? A lot of the army lads did that. You know what I mean? There was a lot didn't, and a lot of them didn't agree with it. I don't even agree with the so-called peacekeeping either. The UN is so corrupt. Yes, it is.
Well, I spoke to a business owner today now, and he was telling me he was offered $4,000 a month to house IPAS, because he's like a pub restaurant upstairs, and he refused. But $4,000 a month, yeah, that's what he was offered.
Yeah, EU has hit the destruction of Europe button. Yes, it has. It has. And then she climbs into bed with Donald Trump, and the tariffs are lifted, and this is lifted, and that. Did you see that video the other night? Like, come on, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
What video?
Like, your woman, von der Leyen and Trump, there's a new agreement gone in now between the US and the EU.
Oh, right, okay. I haven't been annexed, and I'd say the last 2 days.
Yeah, but different deals and the whole lot. And then, The day before, she was slagging them off, calling them this, that, and the other, and we'll never do this, and we'll never
She's a
do that.
hypocrite.
Oh, like,
Yeah. No, like unless a news thing flashes up on my screen and I find it of interest that I use it, I literally don't have time to go on text. I'm out most of the time.
Military in the UK is the gayest in the world presently. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, men are, you're supposed to be, I'm going to kill you. No, oh, Jesus, I jump over that fence. No, you know, it's just, no country actually wants a military now because they expect the US to fit the bills for expense and defense. Well, listen, this is why you pulled out of NATO, wasn't it, the last time? Because they were spending billions and other countries weren't. France and England, I think, were, but France and a few others weren't spending the money, you know? What's the story with the deal that was signed between India and Ireland?
God only knows that we haven't been told the truth.
That's a signal, that, isn't it? Now, and apparently there's some new pandemic out in India at the moment. And
I know, I've seen it. I just went by it. I can't look at it.
I understand you just went by it, but how many Indians have come into this country in the last 2 years? There must be at least 50,000 of them.
That pesky bat is at it again.
Who?
I said the pesky bat.
Oh, and the pangolin.
The poor bat's going to get the blame again.
A horny pangolin. Yeah. Get a grip. Our government.
Yeah, but look, it's like all the rest of the ones. It was the same with like all the other nonsense things that came along the last couple of years. People are not falling for it. Like, you just go into comments and everyone's giving out stink.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just disappears. It was like the monkeypox and it was like all this other crap the last year or two. People are not falling for it.
Yeah. Our government are just figureheads this coming EU and WEF. The AI is going to make so many jobless. By design, a wage being able to feed family to fight in these wars will look attractive by design. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Michael John, we need immediate US military intervention and assistance for real patriots and veterans. Yes. 38 trillion. Us too. Yeah. Speaking of, like, did you see the price of silver? 1.7 trillion was taken off the stock market price of silver on Tuesday. No, today is Wednesday. Yeah, yesterday. In 2 hours, they cut the silver. Silver was up. Silver was yesterday at $1.17 an ounce. That was the highest it's ever been. And they reckon it was going to double to that. You know what I mean? So they reckon, Samsung made a big announcement in South Korea that they were pulling out of there and blah, blah, blah. They were liquidating everything. So the silver, they had something like $238 billion worth of silver in their, wherever, their vault or wherever they have, and they start selling off the silver to get, and it $1.7 trillion yesterday was wiped off the silver market. So anyone that had silver, the last time that happened, it went up by 150%. So if it's at 140 now, if it goes up by another 100%, lads, it'll be at $240 an ounce in the next couple of weeks, please God. It would be great, wouldn't it, for people who bought silver? Yeah. There could be a bank crisis. There could. The monkeypox didn't get off the ground order. That's it. The monkeypox didn't because
people are not falling for that.
People are wide.
Yeah, people are wide to what's going on now. Like, I mean, look, you're always going to have your few where they'll still line themselves up, but the majority have woken themselves up to the nonsense that's going on.
Yeah, silver and gold is going crazy. Well, 2% dropped off gold as well yesterday, and I think 12% off silver. But gold, and so I think gold is up to nearly $5,000 an ounce. So, lads, you could have bought gold for 800 quid probably 4 years ago, an ounce 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So, like, I remember years ago we used to buy big heavy chains for Jesus. You get them at 300 quid. Like, I went in and sold a bit of gold there last year, whatever like that, and I got 500 quid for the chain that I paid something like probably 250 or 300 4 years ago, you know? Night all, hair long or to suit you. All you need now is curls to suit you. Yeah, night.
I have curls. My hair is actually naturally curly. That's why it's always tied back. It's a pain in the ass.
All be gone for St. Patrick's Day. We'll be free for a day. Yeah, I hope so. It's because of the new data mega centers. They need tons of gold and silver. Gold is the same. No, I know what it's all about. And they need, listen, what they're not telling you is, right, at the end of the day, that's like these countries here that are talking about the gold and cutting the gold and the whole, they don't make anything in them countries. Like, you know what I mean? Like the UK, there was a big battery place supposed to be. Do you remember that about 2 years ago? A place got a contract for making batteries for Teslas or making batteries for EVs, and they hadn't even got a brick in place, and they got something like a 20 million grant off the British government to go and do this. There still hasn't been a brick laid. You know what I mean? So they're still going to have to make batteries for electric vehicles. They're still going to have to make solar. See, China are trying to drop all of this, you know what I mean, to bring down the price of silver. So because China are the biggest manufacturers of solar panels and probably electric vehicles. So they need the price to be dropped down so as they can, you know, capture the market, so to say. But Elon Musk has even bought a silver mine in South Africa. He's mining his own silver, you know, so he needs it for rockets and whatever else he needs it for, you know. Silver and gold need to be stable. This is not good. I know it's not good. This is trying to destabilize it. This is not a legitimate government acting on the will of the people. It's a rogue, malicious entity. Just my opinion, while I can still have one. Yeah, I think you're right too. I really do. Selling the granny's tea set. Yeah, I will say HIV, AIDS, and TB are on the rise in Ireland and the UK. Well,
It's probably not actually. It's probably not AIDS. It's AIDS.
Yeah, let's
just vaccine-acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
That's exactly what it is. It's vaccine-induced autoimmune disease. That's what it is. It's because of the vaccine. And listen, people say what you want to say, like, you know what I mean? We always do a bit on the vaccine, but I'm just throwing this out here, like, you know what I mean? This has been proven. Like, what was that French guy's name? Pierre Montague, was it? Or what was his name? The man who died.
No, Dr. Luc Montagnier.
Yeah, him. He foresaw this. He said this was going to happen. He said everyone that takes this vaccine is going to have HIV. So people, that's what you need to be doing. You need to be checking. Like, I'm looking at different people that I know. Every time they get the flu or they get a cold, they look worse and worse and worse, and it takes them longer and longer and longer to
recover. And then they're going from one dose onto another. You know what I mean? So
yeah. We do. I'm fucked. Need outside intervention. What we need in my own is our own. No, there's not enough of our own, but that are going to help us. Like, that's the thing. But I'm going to be honest with you. You only have to look around the world in any of the major cities or any of the countries in the world. They're all at bubbling point now. They're all at bubbling point now for civil war.
There's an awful lot of countries out there standing up to what is going on, especially European countries. And the more nonsense that the WEF and the WHO put out, more people are waking up, because it's getting more and more ridiculous. And I'm telling you, I'm talking to a serious amount of people these days, and you would be so surprised at the amount that are awake to what's going on. People that I would have thought, no, they won't, you know, the money or this, that, and the other. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
No, I know. There is an awful lot of people. There is. Yeah, what's this there? John Lagan. Believing in viruses is a constant source of anxiety for many folk. It all just melts away at the moment you realize that they don't actually exist. I agree with you. So many lies in Rockefeller medicine. I agree fully with you, John. I really do. I know all about it. Listen, we've been talking about it for the last couple of years. Some people listen, some people don't. You know what I mean? But hey, I've seen an EV catching fire by itself. Yeah, I've seen it myself.
Well, loads of them have. Loads of them gone on fire.
I bought gold and silver over the last 10 years. It was to buy 52 a gram and 65 right up until 2023. Then it started to move, Paul. Now I'm buying crypto for when the silver and gold bull market ends. Yeah. Good man. We must talk about that. The migrants bringing it in. The migrants are bringing everything in. Most EVs are Chinese. Yes, exactly. That's why they're trying to capture the silver market. Introduce the third world, suffer like the third world. Yeah, Paul O'Neill. Tech giants Musk, Bebo, Peter Thiel, etc. want Greenland because the largest undeveloped piece of land, and it's also ideal temperature climate for data centers, and plenty of minerals in the ground, Trump will get it. I think he will get it as well, to be honest with you. Paul, I'm saying that too. Immune system is damaged. Lads, anyone you know, like anyone, like I'm seeing family members getting sick and they're getting sicker and sicker. Now, they shake it off after a couple of weeks or whatever, but it's taking longer and longer and longer. It's horrible to watch. Like, it really is. Bezos, yeah. 1 million Indians coming. Yeah, and of course they are. That's exactly who's coming.
Well, remember, they openly told us that Ireland was going to have the population of 10 million.
Yeah.
In only a few short years.
Yeah. Just say international Jewry, because that's what it is. Well, yeah, okay. People know, they know. Bucket, don't know, it doesn't. Manchester late night is getting terrifying. People are getting more aggressive since 2022. Because you don't know who these people are that's walking around your area, Michael. That's the problem. Nobody knows. Did you see the mechanic in Dublin was giving out a warning about people driving through water with, yeah, I did. That annuls your warranty. Yeah. He says you shouldn't really be driving in a puddle that comes higher than the bottom of your tire. Yeah, no, I did see that yesterday. I saw that on TikTok, Christine.
But it's amazing the petrol and diesel cars can go through them.
Yeah, no problem. Like, that's why I have a petrol. I have a diesel car. I have a Grand Joe. I used to have a Hyundai Tucson. Now you could pay the grand for it. 4-wheel drive job. This thing was a beast. No way. And like, I had me money and all. I could have bought a BMW. I could have bought what I wanted. And I thought, I don't believe it. I don't care once it gets me made to be.
Hyundai's Japanese, same as Toyota and all them. Mitsubishi, they're all Japanese. Kia is another Japanese make. They're generally around for, like, you look at the cars that are on the roads, you know, from years and years ago. Normally it's Mitsubishi, Toyota. Well, Ford's not Japanese, but, like, do you know what I mean? You see the same ones. Like, they're going a long, long time.
But I drove through a puddle in Ballybockle one night. Oh man, I'm not messing. In the 4-wheel, and I had it in 4-wheel drive, and it was up over the windows nearly. I was flying through it. But Jesus Christ, that's what you can do in a diesel yoke. You know what I mean? But once you go in them, even a petrol yoke, you go into water in a petrol yoke, it cuts off the carburetor and everything else. You know, whatever about the diesel.
I have a petrol car, and I drove 2 puddles. Well, like, big ones. Yeah. Just drive slowly.
Now that you mentioned TB, Amazon is hiring loads of migrants to work in their fulfillment centers, and they're not being screened for contagious diseases. So Amazon now delivers TB. Oh, Jesus. Are you serious? Trump is not America first, he's Israel first. Okay, well, then we won't be dealing with him. We're Ireland first, so we won't be dealing with Trump. It's what's inside the vaccinations that's a problem. Watch Redacted. I did watch Redacted. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I watch all of this stuff, and I listen to Hersher, the whole lot. I have a video there from, we'll do that in a while. We do it towards the end. Absolutely.
Right, you want to start firing up some more stuff before this lady comes on?
Go on. What do you want me to play?
Well, look, there's quite a few screenshots. Just show numbers coming in and different things like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to show the occupancy breakdown for lads?
There's a couple of them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just share that screen. Now, there we are there. Can you see that, people?
Mm-hmm.
This is the occupancy breakdown by nationality, week ending 11th of January 2026, as per DOJ. Nigeria, nearly 8,000, just 50 shy of 8,000. Georgia, nearly 3,000. Somalia, nearly 3,000.
Now, look at the little stars. They're all your safe countries.
Yes, I know. I'm looking at it. Yeah. So Georgia is a safe country, and we've nearly 3,000 of them in. Algeria, you have 2,300. South Africa, you have 1,065. Okay, the South African one, I don't know. There's a lot of people trying to flee South Africa away from.
Yeah, I know, because of persecution. Yes, I know that, especially white South Africans. Yeah. But you just look at that there, right? You have Nigeria. Half our doctors in the hospitals are from Nigeria. Georgia has been ranked safer than Dublin. Pakistan, you can go over to Pakistan. Zimbabwe, you can go on holidays over there as well. South Africa, you can still go on holidays over there. Ukraine, the hotels are great rates according to booking.com over there. Let me see now. Egypt, yes, you can go see the pyramids over there. Morocco, yes, you can go over there on holidays as well. India, you can go on holidays over there as well. Brazil, I have a friend of mine who's over in Brazil at the moment. He's there for a month. And Kenya, yes, you can go and do the safari over in Kenya. So there you go. Why are we taking in people from countries that are safe? That's like taking in English people. It's just ridiculous. And that's 8,449 people. And that all have to be paid by the taxman. Are you talking, Paul? You're muted.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just saying there, look at how many Somalians come in there with all the trouble that's going on in Minneapolis and America with Somalians. Like, look how many's coming in here. 2,856 Somalians. Then you have Pakistanis. But then you have India. You have 261 from India. But that's not...
But you go on holidays in India.
But there's nearly 40,000 have come in the last 2 years legally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And these people are getting housed over Irish people.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line here. But that is the bottom line here, you know. And it's everybody, every citizen's right to have a house. But now these are getting pushed up there. You know, it's sickening. Is that the only one we have? No,
I think I sent over another one. Hold on. There was something similar to it. Hold on a second. Let me see where it is.
I'll go back up through them all. Relax. 3-bed in Carlow. No.
So that one's gone. Is that gone there? Hold on. Yeah, put up that actually, the 3-bed in Carlow. This is an absolute joke.
This is absolute
like,
joke.
It's Carlow, for the love of God. It's not Dublin, like, it's not Cork, it's not Galway, it's Carlow.
Wow. 3-bed in Carlow. House listed for 4,688 per month. A 3-bed, 2-bath rental house in Carlow is being listed at 4,688 per month on property website daft.ie. The property, which is described as a large house, is situated in the town of Craigcullen and is listed
Craigcullen, yeah.
Where I don't know where that is. Ideal for group.
It's on Craigcullen's on the outskirts of Carlow Town, next to Laois.
And you can have great corporate living at 1,172 per week. It was first listed on the 8th of January this year and has been seen over 5,700 times. The seller says that it has 3 bedrooms but sleeps up to 6.
Yeah.
And it was bought for you get 4 people in each bedroom, so sleep up to 12, mate, if you really pushed it, you know. That's more or less what he's telling you.
Crazy. Great. Like, as I said, it's not Dublin, it's not Cork, it's not Galway, it's ridiculous. It's Carlow. You know?
That's, yeah.
Do you want to play Michael McCarthy's video there now?
I will.
He's doing percentages as well.
Yeah. Let's play Michael there.
I seen this. 44% percentage of immigrants people think a fail of social housing. 6% the actual percentage non-Irish people a failing of social housing. Want to break this down. The 6.1% figure refers only to local authority housing. Does not include housing assistance payment, other state-funded housing supports or asylum accommodation. Yet all of these are paid for by the state. Even housing assistance payment is under social housing on their government website. But it's not a part of social housing now because it's convenient and it's presented as fact. When I first seen this, I thought, great, we can finally see what groups of people are taking up social housing. Then you do the bad thing of looking into it, and the figure doesn't come from housing authority records, it comes from a survey. They sent out a survey to people, and that's where they get their 6% figure from. They have the records, they're the government, they know who's in social housing, they could collate it and release it to the public, and we know the exact figures. Instead, what they do is the Department of Justice the people overseeing migration, the people responsible for migration policy, instead decides to fund a survey and they send that survey out to people. Do you think migrants are sitting down, filling out surveys, saying they're on social housing? And this is presented as fact. When I read these titles, the actual percentage, it's a survey. It's not the actual percentage. It's a percentage from a sample survey that was sent out. It is shocking. Funded by the people that benefit from its findings. And almost half of households didn't respond to the survey, citing one of the reasons being language issues. Fuck's sake. Question is, why are we relying on surveys at all when housing authorities already hold administrative records, release the records? Then the media steps in. On the 15th of January, state-funded broadcasters and grant-supported outlets repeat the findings, all with the same headline, telling you, the public, you're wrong. And the actual figure is completely different. They could have released the records, administrative records, but they rather fund a survey which tells a different story. This is modern propaganda. The same system creating the problem funds the research, frames the data, pays the media, and then amplifies the message. That's government-funded narrative control.
Jesus.
But we saw it all. We went door to door, and I saw it in council estates where the amount of doors that were opened. I could even have a row of houses that it was African and Indians. It wasn't Irish people. And then I went to other doors, and then I had people telling me I'm 12, 14 years, waiting on a house. Some people had disabled children, and they couldn't get a house, and that's how long they're waiting. So we saw it with our own eyes. We don't need a survey.
I met loads of people. I did that came into that were still living at home when I was canvassing around here. It was horrendous. I swear to God, it really was. Where our reparations, we had our language stolen. Big fucking joke, the whole lot of it. Defo in the food water, everybody's in a trance, upside down, a call of normal. Okay, I said we were going to bring on Mary Kate's mum now, Mary Jane. So I'm actually going to bring her up here now and have a little chat with her. How are you, Mary Jane? How's things?
Hi, Mary Jane. How are you?
Guys, sorry, I have to do this. How you doing? How's things? I just have to do the interview in the car, guys. Sorry.
Yeah,
Can you see me?
That's no problem.
Yeah.
We've all done interviews in cars. Yeah, like we ran with this story. I think it was last week on the show, on the Irish Column, I think it was. And we were talking, and like we wanted to hear your story here of exactly what has happened here, because some people thought that this was to do with City West and everything else, and it was nothing got to do with that. This is
there's a bit of confusion,
no, and I did try to rectify that with a few people, but the floor is yours there. Tell us exactly what happened there, Mary Jane, please.
Well, my daughter, Mary Kate, she's 15 years old now. She turned 15 there in September. She was under a co-funding agreement between TUSLA and the HSE, which was directed by Dundalk Courts back in late 18, early 19, where she would be under a co-funding agreement funded for a residential provider, costing the state over €350,000 a year, because we were unable to attain home supports for Mary Kate. She's diagnosed with a severe intellectual disability. She's non-verbal and needs a lot of support. So we entered that agreement with TUSLA, which meant I had to give consent to TUSLA to be able to get the support. One, that was shocking for me, because this is a child with a disability. Why would a mother or any parent have to give consent to TUSLA to receive supports for their child? So that was a bit shocking for me at the time. But I was told that there was no other way to get those supports. So of course I gave the consent, signed the forms every year for that consent, but never had too much of an issue. They never bothered me. We just kind of signed the forms and away we be. Until I would say 2022. I started having concerns, guys. She was coming home. She'd be dropped in the centre of town to me as she was home every weekend with period soaked clothes, holes in her shoes. She would come home then with staff members that I would have never met, all agency staff, some coming to the house barely speaking English. She would have her hair balled up on the back of her head, and when I would loosen it down, you would see it was just a ball of mats and knots in her hair.
Not been brushed
They
out.
had these people, they wouldn't tie the child's shoelaces. They were sending her home in, bed socks, fluffy socks for bed. They were putting her in trainers with those and sandals with those on her. They were sending her home with children's clothes that were 2 sizes too smaller on her, and they were embedding on her waist, same with bras. She was just coming home in an awful state. She was just so untidy. These people just weren't dressing her appropriately. So I had addressed that at the time and the concerns I had around it, especially in 2022, because the staff member had taken her to the hairdressers and had 8 inches of her hair cut off because of the accumulation of knots. She wasn't at home with me when those knots had occurred. I wasn't asked for consent. And we had a house manager at that time, Emma Inslee, that I drew concerns to. And I was concerned of the level of care my daughter was receiving. And I think what kind of, the change, the high turnover they had of staff was very concerning to me, because a lot of the regular staff up to that point were no longer within this residential. We were seeing a lot of new faces. I could see someone dropping her back on a Friday home and might never see them again. So I decided then I started dating my partner in May of 2022. So later on that year, I decided, I wasn't driving, but I said to him, can you take me out to the residential so I can drop in unannounced and see for myself what is going on here. And we dropped at the residential one day at nearly 7 o'clock. And we had noticed one of the staff, called Dolly, she just had arrived in the 7-seater, and we were literally just behind her, that 7-seater. And as we drove in, I went to walk to the door, unaware that Mary Kate was actually in the car. And she had called me over stating that they were just back from their evening drive. So I inquired, where did you go? What did you do? I thought you took her to a park or to the movies or something. No, my daughter was locked in a safety harness since she left school that day at 2:20 in St. Mary's in Drumcar. She was collected in a school not far from her family home. And when I inquired where she had driven her to, she had driven her all around County Cavan. This is where this woman lived herself. And finally brought her back to the residential at nearly 7 o'clock at night. Then it happened several weeks later. So guys, I brought that back before the court, had the court to appoint the same guardian that we originally had, and he investigated it, and he kind of felt himself that was coming like a regular occurrence, more so than what they were letting on. And then with the closing issue, they kind of put a lot back to me. They said, well, if ma'am solely just buys the clothes, if ma'am brings the clothes home every week and washes the clothes, the same with the room. It was the curtain poles were hanging down. They moved her into a room. The curtain poles were hanging down. The blinds were hanging down. Photos on Facebook of that room when we first walked into it. So we had spent just over €5,000 in redecorating that room. I mean, putting ceiling lights, rugs, even the painting wall, all the new furniture was brought in by us. And it literally lasted all of 2 months before a new resident came into the house. This resident was a 2-to-1 care, guys. And this resident was able to bypass 2 of his own staff and bypass my daughter's staff and end up in her room for 20 minutes while he smashed all her furniture while she was in the room. When I would call every night to do a little video call with my daughter, I used to count down the days. And so this days before you go home or 4 days before you come home, because she doesn't speak, but she can understand that. And the staff had told me that the child was locked in the room with my daughter for 20 minutes. And when I asked, how were you not able to gain access? I was simply told all the staff were agency. Nobody knew where the master key was kept.
What?
So nobody knew where the master key was kept. They had to ring managers to find out where the master key was. And then I had spoken to the guardian about this, and I said, look, I have concerns. And it wasn't that was the first time it happened, but it happened 3 times then thereafter.
And when was this? You said that to the guards. When was that?
Oh, it was the guardian. Yeah, it was a court-appointed guardian, not a guard.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah, so
guardian,
Yeah, so the guardians would be appointed by the court to investigate. So he investigated. He thought it was very suspicious that this young resident was able to get away basically from his two staff and be not noticed by them that he wasn't there. You're supposed to be supervised at all times.
And
And
this was a man.
no, it was a young resident. He was just a little bit older than my daughter that got into her room.
He got away from his carers
His two
and got
sta-
into the room
two
and
carers,
locked
yeah.
himself in the room. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Right.
And then it happened 3 more times after that. They transitioned my daughter then downstairs to the house, hoping that would put a stop to it. But nothing's going to put a stop to this if there's no supervision, guys. There has to be supervision.
Yeah.
And it still happened when my daughter was downstairs. So that really highlighted for me back in 2022 that these children were not being supervised. There was not the one-to-one support for my daughter. As my daughter was one-to-one, some kids were 2-to-1 support. The 2-to-1 support was costing the state over €500,000.
Wow.
My point was, where are the staff? You're getting the money,
yeah.
where are the staff?
Yeah.
And so we would have staff coming to our home and telling us that they were going to leave their jobs. We had another staff collecting Mary Kate on the Sunday one day, and he recited to us. He was a lovely staff. I really liked this guy. I thought he had a very good way with Mary Kate. But anyway, unfortunately, he said he was leaving, that he felt the job was becoming too much because this provider was heavily reliant on agency support. And his complaint was, and all of the regular staff's complaint was, when the agency staff are coming in, they were in the car half the evening or they're hiding in the office. They weren't actually actively supervising and caring for these children. So you might have 1 or 2 regular staff that's running between all these kids. So he also made me aware that day, which was the last time that I'd seen him or spoke to him until 2025, that Mary Kate was being washed by men. Now, that was not something I was made aware of up to that point. My daughter is completely non-verbal. No man should be washing females residential. That should not be acceptable. I made TUSLA aware of this. I made the HSE aware of this. And of course, the residential made their excuses stating, well, it's on a very, very rare occasion. It ended up not being a rare occasion. It was a very frequent thing. My daughter bathed 7 times a week. You know, she might do it in the mornings and then might do it again in the evening. A lot of the time, my daughter had male staff. Who was washing my daughter? The men. Then the Guardian spoke to the house manager, Emma Inslee at the time, about my concerns of men bathing my daughter, concerns that I had felt Mary Kate was not receiving that adequate care that should be provided by the residential. And of course, she denied it. She refuted all of those kind of reports and stated that I was just overprotective. But then, guys, in March of 2025, came forward and said she left the residential because she herself was being affected mentally because of the strain it was putting on her. Citing, if you look on my Facebook page, recorded evidence from her speaking, that she herself was running around after a few children on her own. So how can you get one staff member running between several children that have severe disabilities? That's shocking. And as I said, she refuted all those claims back in 2022, only to come forward in March of 25 to say, well, yes, Mary Jane, your concerns were real and it was actively happening in the residential. So we went on and off like that. We had the gal appointed by the courts on 2 prior occasions for neglect within this residential provider. But at no point did TUSLA or the HSE ever bring forward a viable option to have Mary Kate transition somewhere else. Like, that was out of the question for these people.
Yeah.
They did not want to hear anything about a transition and plan somewhere else. So we moved on then to 2025. And at that point, that's when it got really bad, guys. So in 2025, I had my son Abel Noah, and I had really bad preeclampsia, a health condition during pregnancy. So he was born in January. So Mary Kate wasn't home for a period of weeks during that time. And we started receiving calls then from staff members telling us that Mary Kate started self-injurious behaviours, which was shocking to us because this was not something Mary Kate ever actively engaged in. She might, she'd get a bit frustrated. She might headbutt something and walk away, or she'd throw something. But to actively, continuously engage, no, this was shocking.
Yeah.
So I asked them to forward a photo of what had happened, the injury. And there was a wound just above her forehead here.
Yeah.
And it was open. It was clear to see this wound was open. And I told them that you need to call an ambulance to look at this. So the ambulance comes out, has a look, and they said that Mary Kate wouldn't leave in the ambulance and that they would need a psychiatric doctor to give a mild sedative. So Mary Kate would go to the hospital to be seen to. But this is the thing, they employed their own psychiatric doctor. They had their own psychiatric doctor. And we're sitting around thinking, well, why can't you get this doctor? You employ him. He has been filling out my daughter's scripts for the past God knows how many years. Where is this doctor? And we were lied to over the next 4 or 5 weeks, stating that this doctor had left his position, that no one could contact him. No one was able to get reach with this guy to be able to get him a mild sedative. For us to only find out later on, they actually made this man redundant the December before this, December of 24. So they were aware he was no longer in his position there. They were already aware of that, but they were keeping the gig up, stating, because on the website it states they have psychiatric doctor, they have OTs. We needed, because she was continuously over that 3+ period of weeks hitting her head on the corners of doors. We were told that safety equipment was padding, guys, on the door frame. So we were told by TUSLA, the TUSLA social worker called to the home on 3 separate occasions and would call me back and tell me that all of this equipment had been put up in the household around the door frames and around the corners of the doors to prevent her from gaining more injuries from hitting her head. At that point, TUSLA then had Mary Kate up to 2-to-1 care, which had 2 staff, but the injuries continuously happened on a daily basis, which we couldn't understand. As I said, from 2022, I didn't believe she was being supervised. How was the child continuously having head wounds and all these injuries if she's been supervised? So I suppose, in a sense, I left a little bit too much in the hands of TUSLA. I would trust what the social was relaying to me, guys. I think most people without any of that kind of knowledge would. And then it came to a point where TUSLA was calling me, telling me that they'd gone out, they had seen that all precautionary measures had been taken. But Mary Kate, guys, I don't know if you know, you can get a safety helmet for children that are actively engaging in self-injurious behaviours. But you need an OT report for that. The HSE, we couldn't get anyone from the HSE to send out an occupational therapist to do a report at that point on the early weeks. But this provider had their own OT. So my point was, why could the provider not provide an occupational therapist report so we might be able to gain, that helmet as a safety precaution for my daughter? But as I said, it all looks good on paper to say that you have therapists and you have, this was a trauma-based residential. My child wasn't trauma going in. She wasn't ever traumatized going in. She was traumatized coming out. It looks good on paper to say you have doctors, you have sensory rooms. There was no sensory room for these autistic children, but it all looks good on paper. So in the end, over those weeks period, Mary Kate ended up with over 3 inches of wounds across her head.
Wow.
The T-shape one was just above the hairline in a T-shape. That was extremely, it was shocking. The social worker had gone to the residential and had seen this and had directed the staff members along with.
There it is there. That's the T there, isn't
That's
it? That's the one.
shocking. Absolutely
That's
shocking. Now this, if you see there on the screen, the T-shape wound, that was smaller. But because she wasn't being supervised and she was supposed to be hitting her head, it gradually got worse. Yes, it got bigger and bigger over time. Then the social worker, Mary Adesinia from the TUSLA office, had directed the house manager, Miriam Horan, to bring my daughter to school on the Monday morning. Now, that was a shock to me that a social
With our
worker would
head like
direct.
this.
That's with the T-shaped one now, not with the one on the crown. I
Oh
was
my God.
I was astonished, and she had stated that, well, it's okay, Mary Jane, it's scabbing over, it's going to heal itself.
That's an
You
open
know,
wound. It
That
needed
is an open
stitches.
wound.
Oh, well.
100%. And it was shocking to me, but I said under no circumstances is Mary Kay to go to school. No child should be taken to school with an open wound.
No.
No,
And
yeah, of course.
I know the school myself, I know the principal, and I have a very close relationship with Kevin Toll. And I know that if she had to land to school like that, he would have caught me right away. And it would have informed me of what was going on, what was happening. So, guys, then what happened, I was speaking then to one of the staff one day, and she called me and said she had witnessed my daughter take 36 blows to the head.
By who?
And by
Sure.
herself, apparently, in the
Oh.
residential. That she had
36.
36.
Like, why did you not stop her? Like,
Why did she
after
not
the
stop
second
her?
or third one, you'd
Exactly.
say, come on.
You'd have to stop. These people are supposed to be trained.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
when I had asked Debbie Larkin, or sorry, this was teacher. When I asked the Miss Larkin what had happened and how she actually seen that, but I wanted to get to the point, guys, without sounding like I was trying to gain too much information from her. But I wanted everything documented at this point. And I asked her how she knew it was 36, and she's like, I seen her. She was in the sitting room. I seen her myself doing it. So 36 blows like this,
she
guys.
was sitting watching.
Sorry?
So she was sitting watching.
She was sitting watching my daughter, or actually her name was Louise Larkin. I have no problem mentioning names, guys. If there's any repercussions, it can come back my direction.
Yeah,
But
don't worry about it. It's
she
all right.
had she had 30 watch my daughter and take 36 blows like this, both sides, to the head. So now I knew the number was 36. So I took note of that, and I took note of that specific day. And I said to my husband, we're not going to say anything to Tusla right now, because I knew there was a cover up here. I just didn't know how deep it was.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I had a feeling for a long time the significant event reports within this residential were being fabricated. They were leaving bits out that did not suit themselves, because HICWA at some point would look at these reports. Now, we all know the feelings of HICWA, not that they would have done a lot, mind you, but
No.
they did not want to have 36 anywhere in these reports. So we kept that under wraps for about 2 weeks. I think it was about 12 days maybe. And then what had happened was the SEN reports came to the social worker, Mary Adesinia. And I had called her and I said, can we go over these reports? And I hit the phone on record. We spoke for an hour and 40 minutes, going through SEN report after SEN. That would just show you how many there actually were. Now go back to the year prior, 2022, 2023, 24. Mary Kate might have a handful of SENs throughout the whole year. Where at this point, we had over 100 in the space of a few months. So she went through the SEN reports, and all you would see was Mary Kate hit herself a few times. Mary Kate hit herself once at the side of the head, light blows, but nowhere in these reports did it state the number 36. So there and then, I knew that these people were fixing the reports, and I knew this for a long time.
Yeah.
So then I had spoken to the social worker, and I said, okay, well, we have an issue. And I explained what had happened. And of course, she got upset because I didn't tell her, because then they could have had the reports fixed by the time they came in. And it took her 3 weeks, guys, to come back and tell me, right, they put it down as multiple times. So what parent is going to read a report, an SEN report, and hear that their child has hit themselves multiple times and think, oh, they must have hit themselves nearly 40 times? No one.
Yeah.
No one. And they didn't want it to look on paper that somebody was counting the blows to my daughter's head, which they were sitting
I
And
there
don't
so
mean
watching.
to laugh. I don't mean
Yeah.
to laugh, but
It's
but
unbelievable.
This is
Yes.
stupidity. This is just ridiculous. Carry on.
Yeah.
Like,
It's-
you're
it's
there to look
shocking.
after a child, especially a child that's non-verbal and is doing stuff like this. Like, you need
Yeah.
to be, as soon as you see that happening once, you're straight in and you have to restrain the child. I'm sorry.
There has
Oh,
to
she
be.
did it 26
There,
times. She did it
there is
26
no
times.
doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. You do not. I
Wow.
wouldn't stand by and watch a stranger's child doing that. I wouldn't. I couldn't. You'd be a heartless individual to do that and
Yeah,
allow a child hurt themselves. But that just
yeah,
shows you
36 times.
36.
Like,
But you can stand and watch.
how long would it take anyone to hit themselves 36 times and you're just going to sit there
Exactly.
watching it? That's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
But that just shows you
But
the level of care
yeah,
that
but you
there
see, the
was
thing
here.
is, Mary Jane, as well, is that people don't realise what's going on with agency staff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
proper trained staff are so unhappy in their
Yep.
field. They are leaving and they've been
Yep.
like overtaken by agency staff, where you've somebody in one day, another one in another day, another one in another day. Nobody has a
Mm-hmm.
clue what's going on. How are you supposed to look after anybody if you don't know their personality?
Of course.
What they like, what they don't like, anything about their routine. You don't, because you could be in one day, not in the next.
Oh, exactly. But that's why people are leaving the industry.
Yeah.
People do not want to be I know so many people working with different providers, and they love their
Yes.
job. They want to continue working with the job. But the problem that they are having, you have agency that are coming in, one, are being paid more because they're coming from their
Yes, that's
agencies.
true. That's
Right,
correct.
that's for one. Then what you have is you have agency that are coming in and they're on the headphones all day speaking to family members. That's happened throughout the sector. That's within disability services. That's happening with the elderly, and you have it across the board. And you have to look at the demographics of with who this is happening with. What I have seen time and time again, and I had a concern for this. I had said it was Emma Inslee, and it's actually, she was the one that brought this to light with me. When we had spoken back in March, I said, can you explain what the change was? Because when my daughter was originally there, she was coming back. I knew all the staff. I knew them by name. I knew even when some of them were getting married or having
Yeah.
babies. You knew all of this. I know one of them had to start working in the office because she was pregnant. So you kind of knew these people.
Yes.
And she said, Mary Jane, she says, let me just put it like this. And the recording's on Facebook, guys, because a lot of people come back at me and saying, well, it's racist, racist, racist. This is not about racism. This is not about black, white, or any other colour. This is about total lack of care for children, nearly killing children in their care, and there's no accountability because these are agency and they go away and they're probably never seen by that provider again, and they're working with new unsuspecting families and children and providers because they just move on. So I had said to her, what was the change? And she said agency. What you were having, she says, Mary Jane, to be putting it quite frank. Now, I'll just give you kind of the gist of what she said, but the video is on, the recording is on Facebook. She had stated, let me put it like this. We had a lot of Africans, she says, working with us. One of them was a nail technician, and she came here, and I said, well, why don't you, open up a shop here and do that kind of work here in Ireland? And she said, no, I'd rather do childcare. She says, Mary Jane, it's like they tell their own community, come and work here. It pays well, it pays good. And she says the place gets flooded then with those staff.
Yeah.
That's her words. I can't be attacked for somebody else's
Well,
words.
we've seen.
And then it dawned
we
on
have
me.
seen. Sorry, Mary Kate, for putting in there, but we have seen this already over the last 6 to 7 months of these places in Nigeria getting raided, and in Pakistan getting raided, and in all of these countries where they're finding these forged documents. There's a place, I think, in Nigeria, a town. It must be the only guy that has a printer in the town, but everybody is coming out of that town and becoming nurses
with the same document.
Care workers with the same. Well, listen, it's happening. We know 85% of all cases against the HSE is against foreign doctors. So, like, you don't have to be a genius to see that the care is not there. Now, in saying that,
there's some people doesn't want to accept that statistic.
Yeah.
Some people
But
they don't want to.
In saying that, I was up in Beaumont a couple of weeks ago, and my mother was in, and I was talking to one of the nurses, and like, again, I'm not being racist. I never am racist, but I call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? There was 2 black guys on the ward doing whatever, these nurses, the whole lot, and the girls were waiting for them to do this, that, and the other. And your man sort of abused her, like, you know what I mean? It was like as though she was afraid of him then, you know what I mean? She wouldn't talk to him then, and she was going doing stuff herself rather than asking him to do it. So I did see that with my own eyes, like, you know what I mean? And that's what's happening.
Look, it's happening up and down the country, but if these staff, we had our regular staff like we did back in the day, this wouldn't be happening because you had regular staff that were getting to know the kids. Mary Kay kind of had her own little team of staff, and she had her regular workers. They knew, for instance, Mary Kate does this when she wants you to go away. It's like,
Yeah.
no, go away. No, I don't want. But we had a staff here picking her up on the weekend. And so she comes on in and everything was fine. And all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, I start hearing shouting just upstairs. And I heard a bunch of keys going flying. And I walks out and I said, what the hell's going on? I don't know. She said, Mary Kate was waving at me and I was waving back. And I looked at her and said, show me exactly what she was doing. She said, she's not waving at you. She's telling you to go away. She's obviously not ready. She doesn't have her things ready.
Yeah.
She was telling you to go away. Now you've created upset. So she was so upset she didn't want to go back. I had to tell that staff to leave. And we'll transition her back to the residential the next day. Now, that was pointed out by Emma Inslee, and I suppose she was the manager in the residential, but we also must bear in mind, you had director of care who was Irish. The two owners are Irish, and I don't know who the shareholders are of this Pacific Residential. Then you had the managers, the house managers I ever dealt with were all Irish women. They were all Irish women. But I'm sure they had a role to play. And they knew that when these staff were to arrive, that there was not enough staff to provide that level of care that was required for these children. So, for instance, we had, I know all the parents from that kids' home. Now, not because we were introduced, we were never allowed contact with parents. Like I would have never been told who another child's parent is. You were never allowed to meet. All of these parents state the same thing. Most of them would give a time and a day to be coming, so we wouldn't bump into each other, and there was reasons for that. I've no doubt there was reasons for that. But I start reaching out to other parents, and you have Colleen Drenning from Belfast. She pleaded for supports for her daughter with the Northern Trust, and the only supports they give this woman was a full-time residential in Meath, all the way from Belfast. She has that support there for her daughter. Her daughter's 2-to-1 care, over €500,000 a year. But we have staff on record that were this child's key worker for 2 and 3 years, stating this child was never, ever 2-to-1 care. We also have staff on record stating that this child was self-injurious, guys. She was actively engaging on a daily basis with self-injurious behaviours, and she had done so since she was only a wee girl. We have on record where a staff member had stated this little girl was engaging in this self-injurious behaviour, and a staff member had gone to her room to see what they could do to prevent that and to stop that. And they couldn't do anything, so they walked away, closed the door, and left her. Who does that? Who does that?
Exactly.
So,
who does that?
There's a lot of accountability to be had here, but it still boils down to, guys, you have HSE providing the service. You have HSE paying for it. It's like they have no problem handing out millions of euros of taxpayers' money. Like last year alone, 2025, this residential was funded by the state 6.8 million from TUSLA alone. That's not including what they got from HSE.
Just for that place?
Just for that residential provider alone. And bear in mind, half of their houses was closed down. So they only have half of them open now because half of them were closed down by HICWA. So they had a house closed down in December of 2023. That's where Emer, I don't know who's watching this, but Emer has a lot of big story. Her son was all over the paper due to a sexual assault within this residential provider. He was 8 years old the day before his communion. Then, so that house was closed down in December of 2023. No HICWA report, guys. You will not find a HICWA report online as state as to why that residential provider was, that Pacific house belonged to the same provider, was closed down. You have 2 more that was closed down between January and March then of 2024, and another one closed down later in the year. I just don't have the specific month of that.
Are they all from the same providers?
Same provider.
That's the same provider.
Exact same provider.
Wow.
So then we have Lydia. Lydia's from Kerry. Lydia's case went all the way to the Dáil. And her son, she had concerns that her son was being neglected within this provider. Her son was not being cared for. Her son was black, or is black, and she would see bruising. She'd be talking to him on the phone, and she could see. And I probably wouldn't know, but she said, trust me, when you're a black woman, you know when your child is bruised. So she showed me over the photos, and I said, okay, that makes sense. This child was being bruised across his face and lumps across his head. And one thing that really, really stood out to me when she was forwarding me over photos, and I zoomed back into the photo, I screenshot it and sent it back, and I said, can you tell me specifically what he is doing right there? And she says, yes, Mary Jane. He came back doing this really strange thing where he was sitting down with his arms straight, pulled down behind his back and sitting on his hands. My Mary Kate has done that from the day she came home, lying down in bed with her arms wrapped behind her back, her hands under her bum. Where did this come from? She could sit in the back, she will do this. She will sit on the toilet, she will do this. Sometimes then in the kitchen, what she do is put them on her sides rather than behind her back. This was a new behaviour. Bear in mind, she was only home weeks before this, never done it. And now all of a sudden she was eating from a plate, wouldn't even use her hands to pick up her food, but was eating directly from the plate while her arms were behind her back. So she had concerns that her son was being restrained, but never had proof of that. And when she brought the concerns, guys, to the provider then made allegations that her son had assaulted another resident. Out of blue, and her son was dumped in a Kerry hospital. So if you type in boy left in Kerry hospital 56 days, that's her son. Now, in total, he was there for over 80 days. He was thrown in a windowless room in Kerry. He was dumped there. His windows in his room was boarded up. His windows of his door was boarded up. He had no bed to sleep in, a mattress on a floor, and a camera in the room. And when he would speak to his mom and he would tell her that people were touching him, he has certain like little words that he can use. So the mom said, can you show me what was done? That boy got his mother's hand and put it on his penis and went forward to ejaculate. Okay?
Wow.
The HSE will sit and deny that. The HSE have sat and denied that to this woman. And when this woman went forward and pleaded with the HSE, when her son was dumped in this hospital by that provider with 2 hours notice to the mother, she had fought for supports like I did to have the child brought home with the 2-to-1 supports. And lo and behold, the same situation as mine. No provider in the whole country could possibly take care of this child. The HSE continuously came back stating the child's too violent, the complexity of his needs. There is no provider, home care provider, that will provide care. So her and our advocate had called around different providers under different names, given the same diagnosis for her son, but saying it was a female. And lo and behold, they were telling her they had availability. The same way as they've done with me over the past 8 months. And all of a sudden, then she went to a meeting. She explained this to the HSE, explained what she believed happened to her son. And because that woman cried, the HSE called in TUSLA, stating that the woman was mentally unstable.
Jesus.
So the TUSLA had come in, used this woman's other children, as they did with me, that this child is too, he's unsafe around the other kids. And all your children are going to have to be taken out of the house and leave this your one son here, the boy with the disability, or we're going to have to take him. So eventually they got their way. She was served with a gagging order the day before she was due on prime time, just coincidentally. And she hasn't spoken publicly since because she's been threatened with prison. Her son, in turn, was moved 400 kilometres away from her family home, and now she only gets to see him once or twice a month because that's what suits the providers, that's what suits the HSE, and that's what suits TUSLA. Because if the family cannot physically see their child, how can we confirm anything? How can we confirm?
And this is rampant. This is rampant around the country. There's a couple of stories like this. Like you're at the naming 2 or 3 there, like.
Yep. Well, this is all here. Yeah, go on ahead.
HIQA in their review for 2 consecutive years have stated on their inspection that there is gaps in the carer CV. This has been noted 3 consecutive years. The CVs are still not updated because there's nothing to put in them. You know, they're just pushing these people into these jobs. Like, we don't know who these people are. We don't know what criminal convictions they have. Look at the guy who they reckon could have sexually assaulted 300 women who came here 22 years ago, and he was working in a nursing home with women with dementia. They reckon there could be 300 people there. Like, that is horrendous. And we
It's
let
shocking.
this happen, you know?
Yeah, but here's the thing is, guys, look, I said it all of the families. When Mary Kate, so we back to say what happened with Mary Kate, and this is going to make a point to people, I suppose. People are afraid to speak up to Tusla, and I can tell you that from my own experience, they had me under such pressure. I had never been under pressure like this in my life. I lived under threat of having my children removed. My baby, he was only born at the time, 7 weeks old. I had the threat of having my 8-year-old son removed because I spoke publicly. I then lived with the threat, and on 3 occasions in the period of 12 weeks, to try to remove my daughter. They would land at my home, blocking my car out of my drive. Right behind me is the main road of where I live. And you would have Linda Ruddy and Marietta Cinia parking the car over there, waiting for me to come back. Because you'd see my car from the roadway if it was parked in the drive. And they would wait there until I would drive back. And once I'd come in home, they would pull the car behind me, stopping me being able to get out of the drive. This was constant. We just felt so intimidated in our own home. They would call my son over outside when he'd be playing at the green in football. They would be calling over trying to talk to him. We put up a doorbell camera because this was becoming so overpowering. But as I said earlier, with the social worker stating that my daughter to go to school, what had finally happened, guys, was I had found out at that point then that doctor was made redundant December before this had happened. These injuries started happening with my daughter. So at this stage, we're in March. So the period of weeks between hitting herself, according to them, and I would say that she was allegedly hitting herself because I don't know. I wasn't there, and I can't say because I did not witness Mary Kate hitting herself in this residential.
But you wouldn't have sat there looking at her hitting herself 36
Yeah,
times.
exactly.
Certainly not. But what I'm saying is she has the wounds. People often say to me, how do you think that happened? The one wound that was always suspicious to me, well, there was, and the other injuries, there was the wound on the crown. Because Mary Kate apparently was hitting her head forward, like that, directly like that. So that would account for these. But what was accounting for this one?
Yeah.
That made no sense to us. So what happened was, I had spoken to the doctor, and I had made the house manager aware that I put forward papers in the court to have Tusla brought back before the courts, to have a guardian appointed again to assess and investigate the situation at hand. And lo and behold, guys, within 24 hours, this woman contacts me and says, oh, you're not going to believe it, we found a doctor. We finally were able to contact him. So for weeks, this guy couldn't be found, and you couldn't write this stuff. So the next thing, we had a meeting with this doctor, and during the end of that call, I said to him, where did you go? We needed you. My child is suffering here. And he said, no, Mary Jane, did it not tell you they made me redundant? And straight away, just like that, the manager ended the call. We were on the Teams app. So I got a call about an hour after that. A staff member had called me and stated, Mary Jane, it's Mary Kay. And I could tell by her voice, it was bad. And I got into panic. I knew.
It must be very hard, Jesus.
I knew that it was bad just by how she spoke on the phone. And I said, just tell me, is she alive? Is she okay? And she just said, it's very bad. It's really, really bad. So she said, we have the ambulance here and they are taking her to the hospital. And she sent me over a photo, and it was shocking. I couldn't believe it. You have to sit back and look and think, how can that happen to a girl? How could that happen to a little autistic child? So I drove from here to Drogheda Hospital, and I'd walked into the room downstairs and behind the A&E. And my daughter there was supported by 2 staff, one called Singwa and Lauren. And as I'd walked in, I was just, you just can't get the sight out of your mind. No mother should have to see that. It was shocking. And I looked at it, and all you could see, the left side of her head was those bulging through. And later on, we found that that was the hematoma, which is blood that's trapped between the outer part of the skull
Yeah.
and
Oh,
underneath
yeah,
the scalp. And that happens due to the sheer force. She then had huge bruising around her face, the jaw, from the temple down. She had it on her shoulders, the back of her shoulders, around her neck, lower arms, upper arms. She had huge amount of swelling behind the ears. And the doctors had gone back and forth to some hospital in Dublin, debating basically between themselves of which hospital was going to deal with this. It was horrendous. She literally just looked like a child that was thrown out the windscreen of a car in an accident. It was just shocking.
And what did they say
And
happened?
they said that Mary Kate did it to herself. She just,
Like,
that was it. This child
No.
did it to herself.
No.
Now, can I just put this in perspective, guys? Mary Kate, the last, has been home here full time with me since July because she had to go back into a hospital for a period. Mary Kay has not had any injuries at home. She's the 14th of June, Mary Kate was removed from Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Drogheda. We are now in January. Mary Kay has had no wounds here. Mary Kate is supported every day by 2 staff, day and night. She is watched, and if things do escalate, there's always someone there to de-escalate that situation in an appropriate and a timely manner. The hats are close by that she needs. The padding is close by that she needs. We have padded pillows, and we have everything that is necessary needed. This place, we're not equipped for this, but they were happy to take over
Take
$500,000 to
money.
care
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the child.
Yeah.
You see?
People are
So
saying that this
when-
needs to be exposed. There's no other way. It needs to be exposed, and we will expose it. And if we can help in any way to expose this, we will. Don't you worry. Go on. Sorry, Mary.
When I've seen her in the hospital, as I said, the doctor had stated that he had concerns that Mary Kate had a bleed to the brain. And I didn't reckon how he would know that. And he said it was the swelling, to do with the swelling behind her ears. And he said that was a direct indication of a brain bleed. And he said that they would believe that it was over the previous injuries that took place with this T-shaped wound just over her forehead. The next morning, they decided to keep her in hospital, and the next morning she was brought in for surgery. I think about an hour and 20 minutes. This wound, the T-shaped wound, they opened it all up, cleaned it all out, and did the same with the one on the back. And she received 14 stitches. And I'm sitting there, guys, and I'm thinking to myself, how do I stop her going back? I knew these people are going to kill this child. She may be actively running her head into a wall, and she doesn't have that understanding. But if you have a person with a full ability to understand what others are doing and what they are doing, and they to stand by as carers and allow these children do that, and to self-injure to a point where these children could kill themselves, they are culpable. They need to be held accountable for that. So while I was sitting there, I walked out and I spoken to the nurse. Mary Kate, as I said, just came out of surgery at that point. And then the nurse had spoken to me, and she said she had concerns for Mary Kate and that the doctor wanted to come and talk to me before we had left. And then all of a sudden I hear a woman called Mercy. This was when maybe the second time I met Mercy. I didn't really know her. And she telling Mary Kate get her bag ready. So we had a Pacific bag, guys, that was an indication to Mary Kate when it was packed, when she was coming back home, or when she was going to the residential. But she was packing Mary Kate's bag, and I could hear her behind me saying, let's get ready and we're going to go back, to the house. All of a sudden I heard screams and shouts from the room. And I turned around and I just looked through all you could see is glass on both doors. And I turned around, and there was my daughter punching her stitches open, and this woman standing by, and she was moving backwards. So
Wow.
there was a lovely nurse there. I didn't know what to do. I never seen this kind of behaviour from her. So I didn't know what to do. I wasn't equipped. I just did what any mother would do, which is just literally jumped across her. And I started screaming for help. And this woman backed away from the bed with her hands up like this. You stop, Mary Kate. It's okay. Stop. That was it. Didn't put a hand, didn't try to stop her. So me and the nurse held Mary Kate's hands. The other nurse came in to help us, and they called the surgeon back down. And he said there was so much blood you couldn't see if the stitches were bursted or what happened. So the surgeon called me out of the room and asked to speak to me privately. So as I walked out, he said he had grave concerns for Mary Kate and the injuries that she entered the hospital with, and that he had reported it to the different offices, whoever it is, HICWA and whatnot, too, I'm sure, the appropriate authorities, because he had grave concerns, safeguarding concerns, I think he said, and that he had reported that. And he walked back into the, as he had called me and he was continuing to talk, he said, can you go and wash the blood, you know, off? And at that point, I looked down at my hands, and just my hands was covered in her blood. I walked over and washed, and you could see just blood all over my face from my little girl. And the two nurses were keeping her safe in the room at that point, while Mercy was sitting in the corner on a chair in the corner. So I had walked in. The doctor had stated very clearly nobody was allowed to stand by and allow this girl hit herself. He says she could cause herself more serious injury. We are at all costs to stop her from doing this. And the nurses that were dealing with Mary Kate on the ward were so good. They genuinely, I without them, like, I don't know what I would have done. I was there on my own. So about an hour later, they were still insisting that Mary Kate leave the hospital, the staff. So they were in and out all night, guys, on the phone, and to managers and to whoever else from the residential. And then all of a sudden, she takes Mary Kate to the bathroom to try and talk Mary Kate into going back to the residential. You know, to say, we're going to have to get your things ready, we get you dressed. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing shouts from the bathroom. And all you can hear is this bang like that. And I got up from my chair and ran into the bathroom. And there she was, whacking her side of her head off the wall while the staff member stood by and watched. That was when I really witnessed with my own eyes that there's something wrong with these people. There's something wrong with this place. There was no level of care, and I can assure you guys, there was no emotion. That to me would be horrific. If I seen someone's child doing that, the first thing would be sheer panic. What do I do? How do I stop this? How do I protect this child? There was no emotion whatsoever. It was just.
But Mary Jane, that just showed, like, Mary Kate was doing that because she knew.
Yes.
Like, she knew what was going to happen if she went back there. That was her way of trying to stop herself from going back there. She knew.
It was her way.
She's back home with you now, is she? She's back home with you now, is she?
She's back home with me now, guys. And the residential, well, there was a long story up to that, because when she is back home with me now and has been back home with me since the 10th of March of last year. But when that night, as that night continued on, I had stayed in the hospital with Mary Kate. I had told the doctors keep her admitted into the hospital until Tusla come. I had gone to the residential, guys, and the first time in 6 years, I was refused access to the residential house. By them stating, Mary Kate is not here, so you have no need to enter the property. Now, bear in mind, the 6 years prior, when I'd be on my way back from Dublin or from in around here or drop in unannounced, I could be dropping stuff off for Mary Kate, or I'd have to go in every month and I would clean her bedroom in the residential. But it wouldn't allow me to get in. And there was this guy that came, he could barely speak English, and he gave me a phone. And it was the manager, Miriam Horan, telling me she would contact me the next day to arrange to come into the property. I never received a call from her to come in. So what happened, guys, this one gets really sinister. And as I said, if you remember earlier, I said, this was just an agreement for funding for Mary Kate. I never butted heads with Tusla. They never butted heads with me. I didn't really know much about them. It was a sign thing once a year. She got funded. She was home every week. That was it. But that was due to turn very quickly, because what happened was, and I knew this moment something was not right, and this was the sinister, this was the start of it, I suppose. So the following Monday, the 10th of March, The social worker arrives at the hospital. She sees Mary Kate's injuries, but she insists that Mary Kate was to go back to the residential. Like, there was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. This is the best place for her, Mary Jane. You know, you just had the baby. Abel is only, you know, I think it was 7 weeks at the time. And I said to her, I want to see the residential myself. They refused to let me in. I want you to go. I want me to go. And when I see with my own eyes the precautions that they've taken, it might put my mind at ease. So she agreed, guys. She got in her car, I got in my car, and about 10 kilometres away from the residential, I received a call from the social worker telling me to meet her in the hotel directly across the road from the residential. And I asked her, why that? I said, why do you need to meet me there? You know, we're going to the residential. No, I'll explain when I get there. So I arrived, and about maybe 5 minutes or so after I arrived, she calls me and says, meet me at the front door, you know, of the hotel. So I had walked to the front door, and she ushered me in. And lo and behold, guys, who was there at the hotel? She just then told me, we are here for a meeting with the director of care, the house manager, and the other manager from the residential provider, without my prior knowledge and without my consent.
Wow.
Ushered me in to tell me for the next hour that Mary Kate's injuries and self-injurious behaviour was my fault. They sat down for an hour. Was my fault. They said that me getting married in 2024, me get married, what was it? The first one was, I caused her upset, they said, because I brought so much change to her life because I got married. So let's put this in perspective, all right? I met my husband in March of 2022. Or sorry, May of 2022. We were both churchgoers, so we met through the church. We got married in December. Engaged in December of 2022. And we got married in March of 2024. And they're trying to say a marriage that took place in March of 2024 caused the problems of March of 2025.
Wow.
So when I refuted that, they had sat down, and the social worker then looked at me and said, well, now, Mary Jane, you would have caused Mary Kate a lot of upset, and she would be jealous because of her brother Abel. And, you know, that would have caused her great upset. Now, bear in mind, when Mary Kate was home just weeks prior, Mary Kate would rub my tummy. You know, I'd show her the only way. Mary Kate is very visual. So you'd show her a photo of a baby in a woman's tummy. And when I'd cough and the belly button would pop out, she'd just laugh because she didn't know what to do with herself. But I didn't feel there was any hostility there with Mary Kate. So I'd said to the social worker, that's all good and well, but Mary Kate doesn't even know her brother is born. Mary Kate, guys, didn't know her brother was born at that point, because from the week prior to her brother being born, Mary Kate started becoming hostile within the residential. And I didn't want to add to that by doing a video call with me holding a baby. As my video calls were always with myself, I'd show her a room. I'd say, Mary Kate, I got you some new clothes or new bedding or snacks or whatever it be, and they're ready for when you're coming home. And I would put David on the video call, or whoever was there, or brother Dylan. But I never put the baby in the camera. So then they had moved on, and then they tried to blame it on the doctor, the psychiatric doctor, stating it was the doctor's change of medication. And then they said, well, Mary Jane, but you wanted her medication changed, did you not? They had my daughter on high volumes of risperidone, guys. So at that point, they sat down in a meeting, and the director of care, Simon, had stated, well, this is my bread and butter. Accidents like this doesn't suit me to happen in my residential. And then sat down, proceeded to talk to the social worker about Mary Kate. At that point was 2-1, guys, but that wasn't signed all off on paper, meaning they weren't directly funded over the $500,000 for Mary Kate. Do you understand? So it was left unsigned. She was assigned 2-1, but the paperwork still wasn't done for them to get paid. So that's what they got into the discussion about. At that point, I made my excuses and said I need to check on the kids at home. I got to the lobby, and David told me, go straight to the car. Just don't stop. And I got in the car, but I felt so hijacked. I felt very intimidated by them, and I just burst out crying. And he was trying to calm me down before I was to drive the car. And all of a sudden, I got a knock to the window. And the door abruptly opened, and it was Simon, the director of care from the residential. And he put his head in the window and told me, that was her face. It was shocking.
I'm just going to play
you
this.
know,
I'm just going, while you're talking, go on,
Yeah.
keep talking.
Go ahead. That's shocking. So the director had told me that I needed to go to the Drogheda Hospital. I needed to go with the staff members, bring Mary Kate back to the residential. And when I had told him, I can't do that, I need to see the residential for myself. I need to see that all safety precautions had taken place. I was told by him, no, don't worry, Mary Adesini is going to do that. She always does that. So I go straight to the hospital in Drogheda. You feel that gut instinct, guys. You know there's something not right. You know there's something not right. I got to the hospital about 10 minutes later. The social worker arrives. We had 2 staff members packing her bags in the hospital and ushering her down the stairs, getting her in that car as quickly as possible. And I had opened the boot of their car and pointed back at mine, indicating to Mary Kate, I say, Mom is drive this. Mary Kate, I'll follow Mary Kate. You know, like that. That's how she understands. So all the way down the road, you could see her looking back to see if I was still there. So I park my car across the road. I run into the residential, and the second she gets out, all you can see this was to the head. You know, the side of her head. She's doing that, and she's crying. And all she's just screaming is, Mama, Mama, Mama. The 2 staff members standing there weren't doing a thing to stop Mary Kate. I had run up, bypassed the staff. I had hugged Mary Kate, just wrapped my arms around her arms and said, it's okay. Mom is here. I'm going to stay with you. You're going to be okay. Give her reassurance. And the next thing she did was just wrapped her arms around me. So I walked ahead of her into the house. And I could see Miriam Horan, the house manager, appear out of nowhere. And lo and behold, guys, I see all the safety equipment. The safety equipment that was brought to the house was nothing other than poo noodles stuck on the doors with sticky tape. They were stuck all over the door frames, and they were just up on the corners of the doors like that. And that was it. That was their safety measures. The social workers here 3 times, guys, 3 times, telling me all safety precautions have been put in place. I have recordings of this social worker on the phone debating with me that they would withstand a child hitting them and not fall from that door. Because when Mary Kate continued to proceed into the kitchen, and I walked in the kitchen behind her, the poo noodle attached to my coat, the sticky tape, and it fell right off the door frame. And as I looked down to my left, I seen Miriam Horan bend down to pick it up, and she just looked at me and I think she knew the gig was up. She knew the gig was up. And you're sitting around and you're thinking, how does social workers, guys, look at this and deem this acceptable? She had been there prior to me several times while I was sick, but yet she deemed that suitable. And as I said, I have an hour's call of this woman, an hour and 40 minutes, and she trying to explain to me that that was appropriate safety precaution. How does this happen? How does this happen? And then, as I said, I removed her from the residential that night. She never set foot back in it again.
And she hasn't harmed or anything since? Nothing like that since?
No, so she has tried to self-harm. Now, she's very difficult. She has, how would I put it? It's very difficult to put it into words because it's shocking. You know, it's when Mary Kate came home the first night and I tucked her up in bed and I thought, well, she's fine. She's safe. She's home with me. I think I woke up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to screaming, like literally just screaming. And I ran into her room, not knowing what was going on. Her arms were behind her back. All you could see was literally the butts of her shoulders. Both arms right behind her back. Her hands under her bum like that. Just like that, under her bum.
That's suspect.
There's something not right with this. And she hadn't done it the weeks prior where she was home. Her head was rubbing back like this continuously on the headboard. And she would just scream and cry. And then she'd lift up her knees slightly and rock them right to left, left to right. And at the same time, she'd be bedwetting. My girl has been potty trained. she's been potty trained at a young age. She didn't need nappies.
Something has
And
happened here. Something definitely has happened here.
I have
that's
no
not right.
doubt about it, and that's why the services came after me. They pulled all my supports for my child. To this day, I haven't received 1 hour support. The HSE tell me she's too much for any home care provider because of the violence, because of the level of complex needs and care that she requires, that there is no provider in the whole country that can provide care for her. But she will not hire the staff that we have here that are caring for her since June of this year. Well, sorry, one of our staff in particular was one of the carers that was sent out by Coral Care Agency. So when I'd seen what
And
happened...
do you have to pay for this now, or is this HSE funded? Is this you paying
No,
for this
no,
now, or HSE?
No, we paid for it. We do collections on Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night in our local pubs with buckets. We
Wow.
leave buckets around the town in different shops. We have a couple of different people in different towns, trying to do collections
Yeah,
for Mary
yeah.
Kate. We set up a GoFundMe.
There's the
We-
GoFundMe there.
yeah, we set up a GoFundMe. The HSE persecuted. Look, guys, I didn't know much. I was very, I suppose, living in a bubble when it came to HSE and TUSLA. I didn't,
Yeah.
Mary Kate was looked after. I didn't have an issue. Nobody bothered with me. I didn't bother with them. But when she came home to me and I had seen, the bed wetting, the arms behind her back, and then the screaming, and then that would go on for hours. That would she'd just be crying and screaming for hours. And then out of the blue, she'd jump up in the bed, out of the blue, and she'd start doing this. And you just grab her hands and you hold her hands and you'd be talking to her, it's okay, it's okay. And then she'd just be screaming. That would go for hours, like hours during the day and hours during the night. I got onto TUSLA the next day and I said, she's not going back. And I need workers here and I need them here fast. There's something just not right. There's something not right. Who is this child? This is not the girl that was here a few weeks ago. Something has really gone wrong here. TUSLA had left us over a month without any support. I had taken the case back before the courts, before Judge Andrews in Dundalk court. And at that point, I had showed the woman the photos of what had happened to my daughter. She had reappointed the guardian in the case, which was the same guardian that was appointed in all the previous cases of neglect with the residential.
Okay.
And then he had come out to the home, and prior to him coming out to the home, I was up one night, watching Mary Kate, and it was just shocking. Like, the level of violence with herself was just shocking. It was just a child that I didn't know. I knew something happened to her. It's just she can't speak and can't tell me. So
Yeah.
And Mary Jane, is some of this happening with, say, when she goes to sleep and then wakes up with these like night terrors?
Yes. Yeah, she just wakes up and she has the hands tucked behind her back and she's just screaming and then she'll jump up and she'll start doing this. And then you got to grab her hands and you got to squeeze them. Tell her she's okay.
But a child like that is not going to make this up. It's impossible for them to make something like that up. So something obviously did happen. And what's the story like with the guards? What have the guards said? And do you know what?
Sorry, Reid, sorry.
I was just going to read that there from Emma Lamb. Mary Jane, you should be so proud of what you were doing with your daughter. You shouldn't have to do it all, but have to hand it to you. Thank you for everything that you were doing. You're so strong. Look after yourself. And then we have mother's instinct. Mothers know best. And it's true. Yeah. Mothers do.
Yeah, you do. You just know. And like, what's the guards doing about this? Because this, to me, should be prosecuted.
Oh, it should be. There's no doubt about it. They all should be prosecuted. So I had reported what had happened to Mary Kate the night of the 7th by calling the Garda station. And they had referred me. They said, unless I had seen an assault been taking place on Mary Kate, I have to revert it to TUSLA. And that's exactly what I did. But only later on it became apparent to me anyway. The lady I told you that had her child sexually assaulted, her case is still sitting with the DPP since 2023. Why isn't anything been done? It's all the same residential provider. You cannot have a child walking out of a residential, a child that she'd have the odd accident, right? She might have the odd accident, like bedwetting, but that was an extremely rare occasion. Yeah. Mary Kay has been potty trained, she's about 8 years old. You're having a child now that's bedwetting up to 6-7 times a night. like, what's
That's
going
trauma.
on? What has happened here? That's what we were told, that it's all trauma based. But nobody wants to listen to that. And as soon as trauma based, soon as that was mentioned in our home, so we had Stepping Stones guys come to our home. They were directed by the HSE to assess Mary Kate for a new residential, eventually after months. They had come out to our home. You had the director, you had the house manager, and you had their therapist. They sat in our home, and on 5 occasions, that therapist had stated, by looking at photos, looking at videos of what's happening to Mary Kate and what happens at night time, because you can't explain it. There's no way you could explain what this child is doing at night time, and when you do, nobody thinks it's real. It's just shocking. So we showed her the videos. The staff had spoken to her, and on 5 occasions she said this is all trauma-based response behaviours. And we had notified the HSE of that, more specifically Rosemary Hutchinson from Mount Abbott House here in Dundalk. So we had told her what was said at the meeting, and she tried to basically tell me, well, they never said that to me, Mary Jane. I said, well, you can call me a liar if you want, but I have cameras all over my house. And all of a sudden, guys, within 2 days of that, I received a legal letter telling me to hand over any cameras of that was in my home on the day of that meeting, or that I could be prosecuted and fined up to €50,000. Why? Because trauma was mentioned 5 times. They do not want to hear the word trauma, because if it's trauma, where did it happen? What didn't happen in my house prior to Mary Kate going back into the residential, prior to me being sick. But when she came back, this was the behaviours. And then what happened was, as I said, when I seen those behaviours and what she was doing, I knew I had failed her, for one, and I'm going to say that. And a lot of mothers say, don't say that, but it does come back to me in a sense that I allowed a lot of things to be explained away. A lot of things was explained away.
You trusted
and I
him.
stepped
You
back. I
trusted him.
trusted the wrong people. There was no doubt about it. I trusted the wrong people. And you sit back and you question yourself. So I said, I'm going to reach out to staff, so there's one specific person. I kind of thought of that person. I said, I'm going to try to find them online. And thankfully, I found a photo of them online, reversed Google image, and it brought me to the Facebook profile. And I contacted this person and I said, look, I want to know the truth. And I told this person what happened to Mary Kate and divulged everything that I knew. And all of a sudden, this man had come forward. He says, Mary Jane, that's why I left working in the residential. They were locking food away from the non-verbal children. The food, he said, wasn't in the main fridge. And that brings back to 2022, because one of my complaints was, where was the food when I would arrive at the residential? The guy turned on the kettle. I went to find tea bags. There was no tea bags to be found. All was in the fridge was a container of milk, wraps and butter. This man comes out of nowhere, takes a key out of his pocket, goes to the door beside the fridge, walks in there and comes out and hands me a tea bag. There was no food there. But according to the social worker now, guys, there was always food when she went there. But never mentioned nothing about that prior to me telling her. The staff have all said the same thing. Food was locked away from the children. Safety harnesses were used to keep the children in the car up to 5 hours per day. Kids were taken from a residential house in Navan, taken for drives all the way to Wexford. All the way from Wexford. To get what, guys? An ice cream cone. These people brought our children, wasn't my daughter, other people's children, to keep them out of the house. To keep them out of the house because they didn't have the appropriate staffing hired. So you imagine putting a child in a car in Navan and you bringing that child all the way to Wexford. Like, what is wrong with these sick people? Yeah. So I piled up the evidence from that guy and I put them all into minutes. And then I reached out to another staff and I went through an old phone that I had, because sometimes you'd often get a text from maybe one of the staff to say an update on how Mary Kate was every day. And I contacted another one and she recited the same thing, and another one. And the stories you're hearing, like, for instance, I couldn't get into the staff car because they stank of pee. They literally stank of pee. And I knew it wasn't Mary Kate because she was potty trained. And I often wondered, why did it stink like this? So you had staff members coming forward saying, yeah, children were left in the car, they were locked in the safety harnesses, driven all around the country, and there was no change in their nappy. And the nappies were they'd be completely destroyed in their own urine that had soaked through the seat. Yeah. You had staff then coming back and saying children's items were going missing. We would send stuff over to the house that we'd never see again. Like they just go like that. They just like disappear like that, you know, and nobody asking questions. So when I had 3 statements initially, guys, from staff prior to the next court case, right? And prior to me just meeting the Guardian. I had then reached out to Fiona, which was Ollie's mom. Ollie, sorry, was in the residential, the same house as my daughter. But I knew him, but he just disappeared one day and I never seen the boy again. And I often wondered what happened to him, because I'd send over Christmas presents and birthday stuff for the kids and, you know, stuff for Easters and stuff. And when I'd say to them, right, I'd send the stuff over, but his stuff was sent back. But I never knew where he went. Nobody ever told me. I got in touch with his mom, and I don't know if you've seen her testimony on my page. Like, it was shocking how her child ended up so severely under malnourished, guys. Needed to be fed through tubes in Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital for 2 months.
Wow.
He went in, this boy was built like a tank going into this residential. And within a year of it, the child completely, his mental health declined. His weight completely dropped so bad that he needed to be fed through tubes. But I had a statement, and the reason I first reached out to her, because on one of these statements, we had one of the staff recite an event that involved her son, which they were stating that her son was 2-to-1 care, but yet again, anytime I had met him at the residential, he never was. He was only ever with one staff. And there was funding over $500,000 again for this child that didn't even get 1-to-1. So a staff had recited that he was special in this young boy, Ollie, and that he was pulled away to him to do paperwork in the office, and he was told that you have to just leave him there sitting at the kitchen table. He said, I came back and he was sitting there regurgitating and eating his own vomit. So when somebody hears that, any mother hears that, you have to say to yourself, would I want to know what's happening to my child? Would I want someone to keep that information hidden from me? And I wouldn't. So I reached out to her and I said, look, tell me what happened to your son. She told me. And she says, this makes sense that the food was locked away from him. Mary Kate, we have reports of Mary Kate running around this house eating margarine and eating butter because that's all they had in the fridge. They were locking away the rest of the food.
Jesus.
Well, look what the hell is going on in these places. And that's when Tusla came after me. That's when I seen the side of Tusla everybody's talking about. Prior to that, no, they never bothered me.
Yeah.
I had a Guardian to my home and I was holding the baby and I just burst out crying. And I says, I know you're not going to believe this. And I know it's going to sound mad because I know how mad it sounds. But I'm going to tell you anyway, I can't have her going back there ever again. So I gave him the statements and he read it out. And he said, Mary Jane, how can I go back to the judge and tell her that these are from real staff if I have no confirmation they're actually legitimate staff that work there or that are working there? And I said, I will show you now. And I got back over the laptop and pressed play. And at that, he took off his glasses and looked at me and he said, is that Emma Inslee, who was the woman he questioned in 2022? And I said, that is her. And he just was dumbfounded. He went back to the court 2 weeks later and stated to the judge that he could confirm that these were actual staff. And the judge had read my report. I represented myself in the court. I gave her the pictures of my daughter. And she said at that point, Mary Kate was not to set foot near that residential and that a new residential needed to be sought. And up until then, Mary Kate was to be supported at home. HSE, guys, only gave me 8 hours, 5 days a week. 8 hours, 5 days a week.
Wow.
And when the staff had left the house, David was away with the other 2 kids, so they were leaving at 5 o'clock. This was only a couple of weeks after coming back, I think 3 weeks or something like that, give or take. Because the hematoma never healed, it was just like jelly. It was like the left side of her head was like just pure jelly, the whole side of her head. And she was always constantly pressing it, I think, because of the pain. And we'd been giving her pain meds, but nothing was helping with the situation. So the staff had left 5 o'clock on the button because that's all Gary Rocks would pay for and Rosemary Hutchinson. So when they had left, I was lying on bed beside Mary Kate and Mary Kate started doing this. And she was getting very agitated, very angry. And then she started punching it. And when I stopped her, she knocked me onto the floor. And I had to jump back up at that point because the drink spilled all over the floor. I had tights on and I'm trying to get up off the floor to try to stop her from hitting herself. And at that, she lashed out at me and broke my front tooth. This one here is a false tooth. She had hit me a headbutt, and she completely knocked that tooth out for up to the gum. And she was still stopped, and she kept on trying to punch the side of the head and press it in because of the pressure she was feeling. I had grabbed her hands, held her hands down. She pushed me back on the door, and I grabbed the phone on the floor and called the guards to come. The guards had come into the house, the ambulance had come into the house, and she was brought straight away to the hospital. And she remained in the hospital for 8 weeks. And then during that 8-week period, TUSLA had tried to take a full care order on my daughter, seeking the agreement of the guardian 3 times in the space of 12 weeks. When I wanted to take my daughter home, she was already discharged 7 weeks, guys. 7 weeks. This shows you the level of corruption within the system.
Sorry, hold on. Sorry, Mary Jane. I'm only after looking there. We're 2 hours in here. Jesus Christ. I was just letting us all talk. It was flowing great. Wow, we're an hour and nearly 40 minutes in here talking. I'm sorry.
I know.
I just said I'd say that there. Wow. And come here, if there's anything we can help you with Shannon Adina, with Ireland Forced, or anything with Gale Force Media, we will. I heard you're going to be doing a podcast with Anthony shortly, are you?
We're doing a podcast with Anthony. We're trying to kind of get out into the community to help fund supports for Mary Kate, because when Mary Kate was brought home from the hospital the 14th of June, we are now in January. The HSE will not support Mary Kate at home. They will not fund privately for the care at home. They have stated Mary Kate needs a residential, standalone residential. A standalone residential, guys, with 2-to-1 care will cost in excess of €700,000 per year. But they can't put €1 into my home. They want to pay, what they want is, they want cheap labour. If they got cheap labour in my door to do the bare minimum, where my daughter was walking around with her head looking like that would suit them. This is what we have, the level of corruption within the HSE. Why are they so willing to hand out, €700,000 for a young girl to be placed in a residential, but wouldn't hand out any money for that child to be supported at home when she has gone 8 months without open wounds at home? How does that happen?
And how is her head injury now?
The head injury, it's fine now. You can see very clearly the scarring. She has quite a bit of a scarring around the head. But
what about where she had the hematoma and all that? How was that?
The hematoma now, that has gone back to normal. There's nothing underneath anymore. The hematoma is gone. That blood has all gone at the time. So that does help a lot. But you're still struggling with the behaviours. We had spoken to the HSE about having, supports for her to help her with the trauma. But they won't send trauma, because if they send someone for trauma and they basically say, yeah, that is trauma, that's on paper. The HSE don't want that on paper. When I had asked the HSE and different departments while she was in hospital, can we have her physically checked? Because Mary Kay came back in with her pubic hair shaven at one point. I said, can we have Mary Kay physically checked? No. Why hasn't that been done? Why didn't the CFA want that done? Why is it? I have a team of staff here, guys, that were originally hired by the HSE, Gary Rocks, Rosemary Hutchinson, Mount Hamilton House. That Coral Care agency was hired. These were the staff they sent me, and these were the staff they're paying. But when I took Mary Kay home and removed consent from TUSLA, continuously over the last 8 months, they wanted me to reconsent with TUSLA, which would mean I'm back again under the in-camera, which means I can't speak publicly or I'll be put in prison.
Oh, wow.
That's why I have no support.
Okay.
Why should the mother have to go from pub to pub?
Exactly. But we will try and help you. On that note, if we can, we might just leave it at that now and let you talk more with Anthony. I think Anthony will get into the nitty-gritty with you. But Jesus Christ, that has just enlightened me.
That's just absolutely horrendous.
Going on. It's horrendous. And I have to say, thanks very much for coming on and talking
Mary
to
Jane,
us.
sorry, just before you go, is there any improvement with Mary Kate at all, like in her behaviour, since she's at home with you now?
when she has the outburst, it's very bad. There's no denying it. But you can see the loving ways kind of creeping back in at times. You know, like you can take her swimming and she'd come out and she's jumping on her tiptoes and she's laughing and she's very affectionate. She's starting to become more affectionate. But at the same time, it can be very rapid. It can just like that. You know, we had to call staff over here the other night and they were here till 5:30 in the morning. And they were back in shift the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning. And that's why we set up the Finding Mary Kate Facebook page, that people can come together and start speaking out with these supports and what is happening, the feelings of the HSE, the feelings of TUSLA, and not be afraid, because a lot of people are gagged. A lot of people are under the in-camera and they're afraid to speak. Don't be afraid to speak up about your own child and protect your own child. This has got to stop.
Yeah.
Well, look, the most important thing right now for people to help out is to, if they're able to donate, because I mean, healthcare has to be looked after.
We have put a few things up there on the Gale Force website and on Ireland First and on Shin Adina. So it's all been shared out along all of our platforms and everything we have. And as I said, fair play to you for coming on, Mary Jane. Thank you very much for sharing your story. And we will talk to you again in the coming days and weeks.
And we're wishing Mary Kate all the very best,
guys.
And people are saying you're a fantastic
Talk to you again, guys.
Fair play.
Yeah,
Thanks very much for coming on. Cheers. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Fair play to her coming on there. Now, I know, lads, it went on a bit, but I'll be honest, I was engrossed in everything she was saying, and it was the truth that was coming out.
The woman has to tell her story. Like, this is abuse of a child, so, like, the story has to be told.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I know. Well, fair play to her for telling that story. I know, we're 2 hours 5. We only have a few minutes left.
No, I'm just like, there was, like, just listening to her, I was like, dear God of Almighty, where is the protection of children in this country? My God.
Yeah, Jesus. It's disgusting. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, look, if anyone's able to help with the GoFundMe, that's so important right now, that Mary Kate can get the right help that's needed. You know, because hiring staff to look after her properly costs money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor kid. Jesus, to listen to it was horrendous, I have to say.
But you can see the injuries, it's just awful. My God,
Wow.
Well, fair play to her for coming on and speaking about it, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to do let's do the interview with Tina. There's 2 little videos here. I spoke to Tina. It's the Sunbed interview.
Okay,
it's one
that's
after
7 minutes. Okay, so play that one now, and we'll be finishing up, I'd say, shortly. We'll finish up shortly. I'll push this now. Let's go, Tina.
So I'm here today with Tina, who runs a tannin salon in Carlowtown. Tina, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So, Tina, I hear our government are looking to ban tannin salons.
Yes.
And what are your thoughts about that?
Honestly, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I really do. They're going on statistics from 20 years ago. And we're part of the Sunbed Association. We follow all the guidelines. We have the safety standard bulbs. We have done everything in accordance with the guidelines. So to say that this is even happening, it's insane. It shouldn't be happening. No way.
Well, I've come in here today now, and you have shown me the safety, behind this business. You have to have 2 forms of ID. You have to fill out a form. You ask questions.
We have a health and safety one that you basically fill in for our new beginners, and then we have a daily sign-in sheet. So we can keep track of who's coming in, and we basically give everyone a run through. Like, we have a beginner bed, just to kind of ease you in, adjust you to the bulbs, and then gradually move around. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of our beds are bouncing beds, but we have one slightly stronger, but not to a degree that it's in any way dangerous either. Do you know what I mean? All of our beds meet the safety guidelines.
And you are 100% for safety, and everyone has to be over 18, and everything has to be explained to them so that they know, any risks involved.
We have signs around the salon, as you've seen today.
Yes.
We are literally no ID, you don't come in, and you have to show us 2 forms now. It's just the way we are. Do you know what I mean? Like, safety is our number one priority. And even when we have people going on the beds, like, we control their minutes. We do a full run through every time they come in to see how they got on the last time. Is there any redness? You know, how are you feeling? How did you find the creams? Some creams might not suit them. So everything is about protecting the skin going under the UV bulb. And we can't stress that enough. Do you know what I mean?
And you would be very worried about if, we'll say, tanning salons like here were banned, what could end up happening?
Straight away what people are going to do, and I have heard it, they're going to buy beds, put them in their houses, and this is where the real danger is going to happen, because they're not controlled minutes. They're going to be abusing them. Do you know what I mean? And it's dangerous. This is where it's going to get dangerous. If people start going underground with beds and then going on for 20, 30 minutes, because they have the luxury of having them in the house, and it's not safe. It's not. It's very concerning, and it will happen. 100%.
And they could end up burning themselves. They could end up with a skin condition. They could end up like seriously damaging their skin, because, as you said, nobody's regulating what they're doing.
No,
you know,
they wouldn't be minding. Do you know what I mean? At least when we're here, we can control the minutes. We do a talk with them every time they come in, so we know where they're at with their minutes. Do you know what I mean? So we can either advise them stay on the minute you are, or maybe go up a minute. We will never come in. We'll never say to someone, "Oh well, you're on 3 minutes today. Let's do 10." That doesn't happen here. We gradually build your minutes. When you start on 3 minutes here, you stay on it for a couple of sessions that we know, right, okay, you're adjusting to the bulbs, then you move up, maybe to 4 minutes, to 5, but again, we're controlling it.
exactly. And like, if, we'll say, the government decided to close down, we'll say, these tanning salons, like, that's going to have a huge effect on the owner and of the staff in the business.
Yeah. It's unbelievable that I'm even sitting here talking to you about this, because this is not just a tanning salon. Do you know what I mean? This is my home away from home. My boss has poured her heart and soul into the salon to make it as beautiful as it is. And to think that it can just be taken away. I'm a single mother of 3 children, and it's not easy. Do you know what I mean? So I know when I'm here, it's my safe place. I come in, I've made relationships with all the customers, for the ones that like have come in with skin conditions, or the old lady that comes in with arthritis, and they come in and they sit here, and it's not your average salon where you're just in and out. Our customers have become our friends, and they come in and they talk to us, and like we just have the laughs, and the amount of people that walk out of here, and it's to see the difference you can make on someone. It's a different level. Do you know what I mean? And to know that it's going to be taken away, or there's a possibility it could be taken away, it doesn't make sense to me.
But Tina, the likes of yourself as a family, you know that you have to support. You have, we'll say, a rent or a mortgage to pay, children to feed, bills to pay. Like, that's going to be a lot of people out of work. What's going to happen to those people if they close these businesses? I understand businesses that are not regulated, 100% they need to be shut down. But places that are run properly, and as you said yourself, people coming in here are over 18, and once they know the risks involved, well then it's their choice. It's the same as somebody deciding to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, 100%, it is their choice. And I really feel like they're trying to control what we do, and it's not fair. We have the right as Irish people to decide what we do. Do you know what I mean? Like, the government are trying to literally take all of our choices away from us and control what we're doing. No, I'm sorry. I'm like...
But that's what it comes down to.
30, but I have the choice to whether I decide to do a bed, or, you know what I mean? And to say that, what, I'm not allowed at 37 years of age to go on a sunbed? Really? Do you know, it doesn't
make any sense. Like, it is all down to choice. And as we said, once we have, you know, everything regulated properly, and safety and guidelines, and, you know, everyone's over 18, at the end of the day, it is people's choice what to do. And we can't ban every single thing out there that isn't good for us. Otherwise, we'd have nothing left.
We gotta tell you, we wouldn't have any of the fast food restaurants, or, you know.
But like, you could ban sweets, you could ban anything, like, you know. But again, it has to come down to choice. But exactly, or chocolate or anything like that. But you pay your rates. You know, you pay your bills. You know, you're contributing to the community because, again, anyone that spends money in a local business, it's going back out. But there has to be a sensible approach to things as well, you know, in relation to businesses. I mean, again, if they shut this down, who's going to look after the staff? Where are they going to go?
Yeah, and this is the harsh reality of it, you know what I mean? Like, trying to find employment, it's very hard done nowadays, do you know what I mean? Because like that, everywhere's been shut down. If you've seen the centre and all the shops that are being closed in Carlow Town, it's so sad.
I know.
It's so sad. You know, it's not right.
I know. Well, look, thank you so much for talking to me today, Tina. I just think, you know, we're living in a very difficult time at the moment without making things more difficult on businesses. But I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Thank you so much. No problem. Thank you.
Fair play to that girl. And Colette's was saying, what next? They closed the talent shop, only 1 or 2 towns in the first place. Why can't they close the e-cig shops? Seems they do opposite to what they should be doing these days, because the e-cig shops are getting grants off the government.
Yeah.
The Irish people are not getting that. That's the thing.
I was just saying, were you able to turn up the sound of that? Because the sound was a lot louder when I was watching it earlier on. Just didn't get a chance to do the captions on it. I just didn't have time today. Will you put on the next one where she's showing the sunbeds, because we want to show the safety? Because I don't think people realise what Tina's trying to explain here. The absolute danger if these tanning shops are closed down. People are going to start buying sunbeds, having them at home, either using themselves, letting their friends on them or whatever. They're not going to be regulated. They may not be even cleaned properly. People are going to end up burning themselves, skin infections, God knows what goes on. What if somebody's afraid, you know, gets so badly injured, they're afraid to go to a hospital or something like that, they could end up with sepsis. Like, if a business is not run properly, yes, shut it down. But like this place, you could eat your dinner off the floor. It was spotless. And they are so strict on ID and explaining everything when you come in. Like, at the end of the day, like, I smoked. I don't smoke anymore. But like, I knew the warnings with cigarettes. I still chose to smoke. I mean, if you're over 18, it is your choice once you know the warnings and everything's explained to you, you know? But like, it's the dangers of shutting these places down as to what's going to end up happening, you know, if it goes unregulated. So do you want to play the video now where she's just explaining everything?
I will indeed.
It's only,
so
I think
Tina,
it's only...
this is an example of one of your sunbeds. So can you just show me all the safety regulations you have?
No problem. So this is our Megasun. She's designed by Porsche. Everything is computerized here. So we have sensitive, medium or intense. Now, when we're starting off, you go on sensitive. We don't, unless you're on our beds quite a while, you don't go on intense. You can connect it up. We have Bluetooth. It's all voice controlled. You have aircon. You have aroma sprays and aqua mist. The way this bed works, right? When you get onto this bed, we have a control from our desk. So you have the timer button here. You have a 5-minute timer. You hit the start button and you get onto the bed. If you need to stop it at any point, if you feel it's getting too hot, you can stop it from the inside of the bed. We have the facial tanners that you can turn off, and then again you have the aircon, which is absolutely amazing. Same with our stand-ups. We have safety buttons in our stand-ups that, like that, if it gets too hot or you feel like you're not able to fit, you hit the safety and it turns off the bed. And it's the only thing you can do on our beds. You know what I mean? We control everything from the back, so the only thing you can do on our beds is actually turn it off.
They cannot turn them back on again or anything like that. And you have an emergency button here as well.
Yeah, we have them on all the beds. You know, and like with the Luxurious 1 and 2, they go into a cool down mode. If the beds get too hot, they are designed to go into a cool down mode. So if it gets too hot, bang, 2 minutes, cooling down, which is amazing.
See, this is the problem. You're not going to have this with unregulated businesses or people buying sunbeds in their own house. And this is where we're going to see people with 3rd-degree burns and serious injuries happening. Like, definitely, if a business is unregulated, 100%, I think shut them down. But if a business is properly controlled, again, you're coming down to the fact that somebody is over 18 and it's their choice.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Thank you, Tina.
No problem.
Fair play to Tina.
No, she was lovely. Like, and she, do you know what? I love the way she spoke about, you know, the people that come into her, you know, come into her business, and she knows them all, and she's a great relationship. And like, she'll say to me, like people are coming in with, say, with arthritis and maybe skin conditions like psoriasis, and eczema, and they go on to sunbed just for a couple of minutes just to help with those conditions. But again, at the end of the day, you know, you are over 18, and once everything is explained to you, it is down to choice. But again, how many sunbed businesses is there all over Ireland? What's going to happen to those staff if they shut them all down? But what are you supposed to do? Like, you shut them down, but like, then that gets into the thing about what about, like, we'll say cigarettes. Like, you smoked for years, Paul. You knew the risk of cancer.
Yeah.
But like, it was your choice. Like, is the TDs that are looking to close this down, are they going to go and pay, we'll say, that woman's rent or mortgage or feed her kids or pay her bills or anything like that? Like, it's constant, as she was saying herself, it's constant dictatorship what's going on within our government, you know?
Yeah, just on throwing that up there. If anyone wants to buy us a coffee, please do. Thank you very much. We haven't got long left, Orla. I tell you, I was actually sent in a video from one of the lads, and I'm going to play that. I was actually sent it. I was going to talk about the Coolock court costs, but we've only 10 minutes left, so I thought, no, I'll need at least 20 minutes on that, half an hour on that, you know, to be talking about.
Well, look, sure, we can do it on Sunday night. Look, the most important thing tonight was to get out what happened with Mary-Kate. So
exactly,
that was the point.
Yeah. Now, I know people were in the comments saying, "Oh, this is going on too long. This is going on too long." Nobody else is giving her a voice, lad. Nobody else is giving her a voice. She has no voice. Nobody wants to know.
Yes, exactly.
So we need to help her out here, you know.
Yeah.
A friend of mine sent this in to me. This is lovely. You'll love this.
Take me away from the city and lead me to where I can be on my own. I wanted to see you, and now that I have, I just want to be left alone. I'll always remember your kind words, and I'll still remember your name. But I've seen you changing and turning, and I know that things just won't be the same. I remember that summer in Dublin, and the Liffey's, it stank like hell, and the young people walking on Grafton Street, and everyone looking so well. I was singing a song I'd heard somewhere called Rock and Roll Never Forgets, when my humming was smothered by a 46A and the scream of a low-flying jet. So I jumped on a bus to Dunleary, stopping off to pick up my guitar. And a drunk on the bus told me how to get rich. I was glad we weren't going too far. So I'm leaving on Wednesday morning and trying to find a place where I can hear the wind and the birds and the sea on the rocks, and where open roads always are near. And if sometime I tire of the quiet and I want to walk back up that hill, I'll just get on the road and I'll stick out my thumb, 'cause I know for sure you'll be there still.
That was nice, a bit nostalgic, wasn't it?
My hero, Michael Collins.
Yeah, no, but I was there for the Pope. I seen the Pope twice. I seen him at the park. I seen him. Listen, they were great times. Great times.
Which Pope are you talking about? The original one? You were around
The
by
real,
then.
real one, the real Pope, not Pope Leo. No, Pope John.
No, I mean
Paul
the
II.
very original Pope, the very first one.
What was he? Was Louis? Was he? Was he Pope Louis or something?
But
Brother
you were
Louis,
around the time of Moses.
I wasn't the arse. Seeing them live in the Golden Grill
I
in
know.
Letterkenny. Yeah,
I know. Anthony's out. I know. I'm just laughing here. Anthony sent on just a screenshot of it. I'm just going. Do I?
Great
Look, I look. Like, I'm just laughing. I look like the color of the walls. I'm that white.
You're all right. This is good montage. That was a friend of ours, Jay, done that. Fair play to Jay. He put that out a couple of years
that's
ago.
great.
I asked him to use it today, and I just threw the Gale Force Media at the end because I do that with loads of videos now with Gale Force Media or Ireland First or the Irish column. Right, Orla, I think we're going to finish up. Are we? That woman should be getting HSE funding. This is just
She should
not
be.
right. Well, if enough of us kick up about it and help her out, this could work out for her. You know, that was brilliant. Fair play. Pope Leo from India. Yeah, Pope Leo from India. Orla, give him a break. Thanks very much, Clifford.
That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. We need to take our kicks when we can.
She never does. And there you go. There you go. That's never going to happen. You're right. I remember the smell of Guinness and hops smelled deadly in the morning like victory. Yeah. I used to remember the smell of coming out of the Cadbury's factory up in Coolock. That used to be lovely as well. The smell of Cadbury's being made. Oh.
Well, it's not Cadbury's anymore, is it? It's all palm oil.
No, all palm oil now. Right, Orla, thank you very much. It's been beautiful again this evening. It's been emotional, and I'm going to be honest, I could have spoke to that girl for another half an hour. Like, I really could, because fair play,
she's amazing. No, she's absolutely brilliant. A fair play to her, like, after everything she's been through, you know?
Yeah. Great show. Thanks, folks. God bless. Thanks, Christine.
Thanks, Christine.
Fair play, yeah. I'll drop you down there now, Orla. Thank you very much. I will talk to you in 2 minutes. I'll be down.
Good night.
Night and God bless. Well, people, we've got to the end of the show again. And as I said, we were an hour and 20 minutes on that, an hour and 30 minutes on that. But listen, I thought we need to get this out. And if we can help that woman in any way, if any of us can help that woman in any way, please do. And like I say every night, truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. You just let it loose and it will defend itself.